I believe so.
Ready.
Sure.
Okay, then let us begin the podcast here. So, as you know, they talked about in the dev letter that they're looking at a possible class rework. First off, what are you guys' opening thoughts about that? How did you first take that news?
I personally like the thought. Some aspects of the class, while fun, are also grating in either large combat scenarios or smaller ones. So possible changes are, in my opinion, welcome.
Okay, that's good. Anyone else?
No long.
I'm just interested in see what they mix it up for.
What do you guys think that they might do for the class rework?
Well, I really hope that they rework the whole functionality of the fucking classes as a whole. Just like total rework is what I really want.
that
Didn't
include,
they?
like-
Oh, go ahead.
Do you mean like including ability slots and weapon loadouts, or just like how things function?
I mean, like, heavy assault is extremely fucking beefy and needs to be changed in some way. Personally, I think that heavy should not have the rocket launcher. I don't think that they should. I think that should be an engineer thing. Because
Now that is a very hot take right there.
My question is, what would you give them instead? Is that
Yeah,
when
it's
you put
like,
their heavy weapons?
yes, they're heavy weapon because they are heavy assault. They're
Okay.
heavy assault. Heavy. What is a heavy thing? A heavy weapon. A
Gotcha.
big weapon.
Well, before we go into that, we'll get to that in a second. We're gonna take the classes one by
I
one.
need to cut you off. Ogre wants in.
What's that motive?
Ogre wants in.
Ogre wants in. Oh,
Oh,
Ogre
no.
wants to be part of this.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Let me
Oh,
drag.
no,
Let me
no.
drag him over here. Where is he? There he is.
He's in Brazil.
There he is. Hello, Ogre.
Alright. Hello.
How you been, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's doing good. So we've just started. Let's ask you the question, Ogre. What are your opening thoughts here on the announcement of that they're gonna redo the classes a little bit for Planetside?
I am pretty cautious about it because, as you know, people don't really like change that much. However, I am pretty optimistic that these changes are going to be, for lack of words, for the better. But is there anything specific you want to say, or?
No, just looking for opening thoughts. How you feel about it? What you think the devs might do, if any?
What if the class rework is just like they add a little bit of a patch onto each class? And when I say patch, I mean like an arm patch. That's it. That's the whole rework.
It's like that.
Some
It's
armor does
hey,
have their logos already plastered onto
Yeah.
it. Keep in mind.
But no, I think I know
they're
where he's come from. It's like what a motive said when they added
800 new
800 new
attachments,
attachments, guys. We added 800 new attachments. In reality, it was more like
Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
When are we gonna get actually fucking like actual good attachments? Like there's so few. There's
I would
so
like
little
more
weapon
diversity.
customization.
I would like more diversity in their underbarrel system, but that's just me because I love those. They're quirky. They're situational.
I would say
but
there are some attachments though, Lemon, that are pretty good. Compensator, they buffed that actually pretty good
yeah,
now.
that-
And angle grip
okay,
as well is
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, but there's so few of them. Like,
Yeah.
you can't really make a playstyle for yourself outside of like.
whether you want to go hip fire or ADS is the main thing you want to do with a weapon, and then you go for utility, whether it be launchers or ammo types.
Yeah.
I feel like if you
it's
did,
so limited. It's
Yeah.
so limited.
if they had more of the adaptive class underbarrels on stuff, I think that'd help a bit.
I mean,
But
to be
that's for
fair,
later.
there's
That's
not
for later.
like much you can do with a weapon. Like the main thing is either you want to be good at aiming or good at at the hip. Like you can't like how do I say this? There's not much else you can do in between those things of like aiming and not aiming, which is what the attachments are supposed to signify. Is that like, hey, you want this attachment? It makes you better at so and so, but you get a downside at firing from the hip. Or do you want to be really good at firing from the hip, but really bad aiming? it's not that there's a lack of attachments. It's just that there's not really much you can do. In the end, it is just a gun.
We should
I
Yeah.
hear
probably
you.
get back
Yeah.
to classes.
Anyway,
I
well,
hear
anyway,
you.
let's reel it on back here to classes a little bit, away from that.
I hear you, and I raise you. Cool gun.
Cool gun.
We could get
Now-
into the tools, which kind of are guns later.
Yeah, but that's right now. We're only focusing on classes. So speaking of classes, then let's start with Reddit's favorite, the Infiltrator, boys. How you guys feeling about the Infiltrator, and what do you guys think that they could take it in the direction that
Okay,
you
so
think they could
I'll
take
say
it?
this much. I understand. I don't like it when Reddit goes off on tangents, but I understand where they're coming from in terms of infiltrators cloaking from a distance. I get that, and I can understand how that's unbalanced. However, you have to realize, first off, bullet travel's a thing. So if you are getting shot at, you can just bob and weave, and it's incredibly easy to just counter snipe an infiltrator. All you gotta do is wait for him to uncloak and take your shot.
The
And they're usually staying perfectly still because they do not expect counter snipers.
Yeah.
Corvus had mentioned something, and I want him to go over it. His opinion on what they could do with the cloak.
That is
Corvus?
true. Corvus?
Yeah. What? Sorry. What was that?
The idea you had for the cloak rework or alteration.
Oh, so first off, I feel like a very simple, like easy fix that we've already implemented would be the what we do with the wraith cloaking.
Which is the Flash's ability.
Yeah, which is give it a cooldown, because making it to where like it is a big part of the class, like cloaking. So just removing it is very tone deaf, heavy-handed. At that point, remove the class. And but like giving it a cooldown, it means that there is more like there's more of a chance at actually being able to counterattack against an infill and actually punish them if they actually uncloak too early or whiff a shot, for example. So that way you can kind of be able to better place counter snipes on them, as well as force them to retreat, especially in like the CQC situations with SMGs and pistols that we find ourselves in constantly now.
Yeah.
I know for me, because I play main NG a lot, my longest range option is the masthead. Lining up a shot on an infill, even if they're standing still, it's very difficult when they can cloak and decloak after firing a shot every time. Because I've faced a lot where they cloak after they shot, move a bit, and do it again, and by the time I have to redo my breath and everything else. It just gives a wider window for certain situations which are the pain points, not the general use.
Yeah,
I
feel
also
like
don't think-
Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I also don't think that there should be so many. Like, I understand that semi-automatic sniper rifles exist. I don't feel as if there should be so many, and I also don't feel as if they should fire so fast.
My main pain point with them is that they all get ballistics computer as an option, which removes one of the whole aspects of a long-range weapon, which is needing to handle your breathing. It just turns them into spam-click, harder-hitting scout rifles, which at that point, why use a scout rifle if you're on a infill?
Just to jump in real quick, aren't there only 3? Or...
There's only 3,
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
so it's not a
Three
lack of
semi-automatic. Or what?
Yeah.
Sniper rifles. I
for
don't
each
think
faction.
there's
Yeah,
any.
there's
Really?
and then at least 1 or 2 of them are NS.
I felt like there were a lot more.
No.
well, one
No.
of the semi-autos is the faction neutral one, which already has a large amount of bullet drop and recoil, which is less of a problem compared to the faction like specifics, which are just carbon copies of each other.
Yeah.
Yes. I
The
think we
daimyo
are-
is less of a problem as compared to those ones.
I think we're getting off topic again, back onto weapons.
Yeah,
let's
but
stick with
Maybe the
and
classes aren't the
abilities for
problem. Maybe the weapons are the problem.
It's
Um,
a bit
are a
of, it's a
big
bit of
part of the
how they
problem.
interact.
It's
is
how
the
it's
thing.
So-
A
made.
little bit of A, a little
Yeah.
bit of B.
Mhm.
To be
yeah,
fair,
they
there
are-
are more weapons than there are classes, so of course you
Yeah.
can talk
Yeah.
about
One-
them.
I would hope
Uh,
there would be, because considering there's only like, what, 5 classes? If there were only 5 weapons split between those classes, I'd be very concerned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Going over
Other
to abilities for infill would probably be the next one. That would-
Yeah, where Reddit has taken upon themselves to call for the removal of the scouting abilities for Infiltrator, like get rid of the The
recon.
darts, what's the other one called?
The scanning device.
The motion
The
spotter,
motion detector.
and the recon detecting device. How Reddit is saying that that's quote unquote overpowered now. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
How
I-
is it overpowered? What?
Knowing
The-
where an enemy on the map is part of one of the main aspects of this game. A class whose whole thing is killing, but also having a support tool for everyone else is useful. You don't want them to only murder things.
I guess
True.
my only thing would be like, what would you rather it be instead? Like, I
Yeah.
don't understand what.
You can't, like, the thing is, the Reddit does not understand this. If you want something removed, make some suggestions as to what to replace it with.
Yeah,
Don't
or
just say remove it, because then it just leaves an empty vacuum there that, what are you supposed to do with it? Nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because
Yeah.
Infil's whole thing is recon. So and this is an open discussion for everybody else that sees this video. Like, for example, with recon, what would you replace it with if you want this removed? You got to at least add something in there. Otherwise, now you're running a half-cocked
the
class.
whole I would like to butt in here. The whole Reddit saying remove this cause bad. I really hope the devs, they look at it and they're like, okay, they're saying it's a problem, but I hope they don't actually take it as, okay, well, this is bad, we better get rid of it. I hope they do kind of think to themselves, what do they replace it with then? Or how do they
What is
change
wrong?
it?
Like, why are people complaining?
Yeah,
about
why
it?
are people
That's the-
complaining about Raycon being broken right now? When in reality, I feel like we would say it's not broken.
We discussed this before we started recording that some people just don't want to change up their loadout slots. They don't want to give up implants, say survivability ones for not being able to be detected as easy. I argue if say you're running a heavy and you give up one of your two like heavy survival implants, say like the one where headshots give shields or headshots give health, one of the two, say you're running that
Assimilate.
and you want something, yeah, assimilate or whatever else, and you are forced to say you want to be stealthier so you don't get cut out by like a bunch of guns all at once, you could take sensor shield. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't and get angry that they keep getting spotted just because they're going to try and kill someone or flank and then smacked with weapons.
The funny fact that you bring up Sensor Shield, because actually Reddit has also said that Sensor Shield should be removed or not be able to be equipped on infiltrators as well.
Well,
And again, it's
it
like,
can be annoying to find them. It's not impossible.
yeah,
You still
shimmer.
have tools to do so. You have black lights and other things and mines, but
But again, I feel like it goes back to the whole point of people don't want to change their loadouts to kind of counter
also-
it. They don't want to play this rock paper scissors game of balance.
You also have this magical thing called a brain inside your head, and if you use some basic logic, you can figure out where a bullet's coming from just by looking and seeing, oh, that's the direction it came from, so I should probably look over there in the opposite direction and see
also-
oh hey, there's a guy up there.
like moving in groups so you can like if one dies you can get the other one, and because like the whole point
Yeah.
of infill is you're picking off people. You
Ain't
can't
that crazy?
murder in a team fight. That's not what they're designed for.
And
Ain't that crazy that this team-based game has teams in it in which you can actually take a whole bunch of your guys and go kill somebody? Isn't that insane? Working as a team?
going back to actual recon, that's actually another point of why is the removal of recon? Because recon is still going to be used in a different form. Because, for example, you get killed, say like you rush into a room, where recon would just give you the layout of where the enemies are. You can kind of do that based off the kill cam when relaying it to the rest of your squad. So that's still a form of recon that's not actually a core component of the game. So even if you do remove recon, there's still going to be recon aspects to it. So
Recon.
again, it kind of brings back the idea of why are we removing this?
To
Yeah.
build off of that, I would assume that if for some reason they devs just decided to remove recon, working off with the kill cam, I would
I'll be
assume people
AFK.
would just use I don't know, light assault and just go into the area, die because even if you remove the specific tool for recon, people still want to do recon. You can't.
You also have
Yeah,
counterintelligence and assassin, which also mark targets.
Yeah.
In their varying
Or the
ways.
vehicle recon as well, which also
Exactly.
they're saying should be
Actually,
removed.
Yeah, which building off of what you were just saying, Ogre, NC does that quite a lot with their Phoenix rockets, actually, in particular. You
Yes,
use it
yeah, you
for
can
forms
go
of
in third
recon.
person with those. Yeah, the TVs. Yeah.
Yep, you just
So
press T
going
and you can see.
The true American
so going
heroes.
into things that might change and might be reworked on the actual infiltrator class, as a compromise, because again, recon I get where they're coming from. There's no counter. There's like counterplay on a certain level, but like not on a big fight level. And so I think personally that they might add like some anti-recon abilities for the infill personally, like maybe like a GPS scrambler or something that like pulls away from just only the recon focus of like infiltrators.
Because they had
'Cause
something similar to that with the decoy nades, but those don't work as well.
Yeah, ever since they removed the AI from construction, decoy grenades are kind of a joke, so to speak, now.
Like they
Which
did try to add counter recon in that sense, but I feel like, as you mentioned, they could do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they might even revisit the decoy grenades in this coming update because it's very specific to infill in that regard. So I imagine that they probably are going to work on that because it's probably one of the less used grenades.
Yeah, EMPs on them are
Okay,
also
I'm
quite
back.
useful,
Welcome
but
back.
that's more of a utility against deployables, which I think is another thing Infill should maybe have a bit of an emphasis on is anti-structure that are player built. And more so
We
like
used
what
to have
engineer
those
does.
accordion bombs, but well, that was before the entire construction change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing with Infill is they have the EMPs which deal with turrets, but they don't have anything to outright deal with, say, waist-high barricades or other things like
So
that.
you're
Or
thinking of anything that's like that kind of disrupts like the placeables and stuff like that, not necessarily like anti-building or anti-vehicle, but like
yeah,
Well, I
more
mean,
of a helping.
disruption.
Yeah, helping push through a
Saboteur.
point. Yes, saboteur.
that's literally what infiltrators are supposed to be, and yet they don't have that ability.
They do hack terminals and they can hack mana turrets, at least the automatic ones. But having a grenade that takes control of deployables, while powerful, might be an interesting tool. But that's a whole other can of
So
worms.
actually, you bring up a good point. What if they add the ability to hack mana turrets for infiltrator? So you can
Like,
actually
real
turn the
quickly,
turrets against enemies.
when you say mana turrets, like the base mana turrets or like construction mana turrets?
No,
Do you
mana
mean the
turrets
ones people
are
can
the
hop
engineer
on?
ones.
Oh, the
No,
anti-mana
mana
turrets.
is,
Anti-infantry one. The
yeah,
one the
you're
engineer
thinking
can
of-
equip. Gotcha.
Yeah, those are
Well,
manas.
those are the only ones that are called mana turrets.
Yeah, no, that was
Um,
confused for a second what you meant by that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
because you have the automatic ones with the Spitfire, the shielded ones, which are the machine gun, and the anti-vehicle one.
Yeah, so I think like going full send into its like you could
Maybe
do
being
that
able
as a
to like
thing.
snatch them up after a bit and reposition them, because if they're in a bad spot.
But going along, making this more powerful, you could actually make that as like a specialization. You can either take that or you can take like more cloaking or something
Yeah,
like that.
like an ability slot. Like
Mhm.
how Engineer has like Mind Pouch, you could have one which allows you to take enemy deployables and make them yours.
Do
Yeah,
you think then, I don't mean to interrupt, but do you think then that they should maybe go towards the Planetside 1 rule of the Infiltrator where you could hack enemy vehicles?
That would be interesting.
I think, yes, but I don't think it's going to happen in this update. I think they need to flesh that out way more than than just the initial idea
True.
because I can imagine that spiraling out very fast.
Like an
I don't
info
think it's a
going to
bad
an enemy
idea.
spawn and hacking it hidden, like that could be problematic.
Imagine
I mean,
especially with the waist high barricade strat that I do that we know about on the vehicle pads, stopping them
there-
deliberately.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things they could do. I feel like having them interact with deployables and vehicles and things is a good place for them to be to fulfill more of their saboteur role instead of their go cloak long range or SMG or knifing.
I think that the hacking other vehicles could work. It's just that it would have to have some like stipulations of like it can't be manned. It also cannot well just in general, it just can't be manned. That would actually
Yeah.
cover it.
agree.
I feel like it should
Someone's
also
tank while
be,
they're still in it.
if it's
Yeah,
not going to
that's
be like a
awful.
suit slot ability, maybe then ASP, just to have kind of
And
Locking it behind that is probably not the best of ideas, because ASP
No.
is to allow diversity of tools, not unlock completely new ones.
to
So
add on
yeah.
top of what
The-
Lemon said,
ASP,
I do.
what is that?
That's advanced. That's
Advanced
the advanced
specialized
specialization
training.
program.
Prestige.
It gives you like other like weapons and stuff like that, as well as like other abilities from other classes. For example, engineer gets LMG access and stuff like that.
LMG,
and, like,
assault
shotgun
rifle, shotgun
secondaries.
secondary.
Shotgun.
Yeah.
To add on top
yeah,
of what Lemon was saying earlier
Go ahead,
about
Motive.
the not being in a vehicle, I do think that there is an argument to be made that it is kind of BM that you can hack someone out of a base turret.
Yeah,
There is
that
definitely
is the
something to be
problem,
said about that.
I think they should only be able to do it if it's unmanned. I do
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah,
That is something I,
I
feel
don't
like
know
is-
why they can do that. It just feels like an oversight.
I mean, going back on that, one of the common strategies is to throw two anti-infantry mines, hack it, so when they jump out, it automatically kills them, and there's no counterplay to that.
And
Again,
I've had
like,
that. I've had that happen before. And the thing is, you have no idea that there's anyone even behind you
Mm-hmm.
at all.
I do
period.
think there should be an audio cue at least when you're hacking.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're gonna have it to where it's like you can hack man stuff, let the player know that they're being hacked.
because you think they would. They have a bunch of displays on the inside of their things. It would make sense to do.
Actually,
Yeah.
I have an idea to just throw out there. It would be interesting if they could have some sort of warning system, like let's say in Titanfall 2, you know how when you hop onto enemy Titans and then the player would get
Inventions
a
being
warning.
rodeoed, yeah.
Yeah, they get a rodeo warning. That could also compound into hacking vehicles while they're manned. They could get a warning saying it's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're being hacked." So then that allows more chances of infiltrators hacking vehicles, stealing them for their own faction.
Mhm.
I also
And
do
then you
want to
could
point
To
have,
add
out
on top of that, that's actually a really good idea because then it comes back to what Corvus was talking about with the mines thing. Because then if they get out and you already placed the mines, you blow yourself up in the process, so you do get punished for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
adding depth to that is fun, yeah. Should we move to light assault?
Yeah, I think we can make
think
our way
so.
over to light assault unless anyone else has anything else
that's
to.
me.
I have one more
Real
idea.
quickly. Does anyone have any other things they want to say about Infiltrator, or do you think we've kind of covered the
I
basics of
have
everything?
one more idea with Infiltrator.
Well, what's your idea, Kicker?
So, I know how Reddit hates like recon and all that, but I think an interesting idea with Infiltrator is it's a replacement for like the cloaking, so it's like a suit, but it's like the medic's healing field, but it's recon.
A scan ping.
A scanning ability.
Yeah,
Instead
you
of
basically
getting
turn
cloaked,
into
you just press F and like a
decoy.
little satellite dish comes out of your
Oh.
backpack or something.
Yeah.
So pretty much like Bloodhound and Apex.
That could be
The-
interesting.
Or
That could
it's
be
a,
interesting.
My question is, would this also increase the infill shield health back to a normal amount? Because that's why they have lower, because they have the cloak.
I
True.
think still.
I would say that would probably
keep-
be fine.
Yeah, possibly.
Because, like,
Yeah,
an infill
fun
without
enough.
cloak is quite vulnerable if they
Yeah.
are only
Mhm.
the
Since they do
400
have the
shield
less,
health.
little bit of less health, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I do
I
want to
think
preference
basically-
this to the audience, to anybody listening, is like I said, these are just like spitball ideas, and feel free to like add to your
Yeah.
own ideas. Like again, this is like the
This
whole
is,
point
this
to
is- this is
not
our-
just hate on the game,
Yeah,
but
this
also
is-
to like.
I'm
Oh,
so
sorry.
sorry, Corvus.
Oh, I was just.
I'm just trying to say this is our thoughts, feelings, and suggestions. That's all this is. We're not saying that they should do this, but they could do this if they wanted to. We're just giving we're just throwing out ideas here.
It's
And the whole-
constructive.
It's
The
constructive,
whole idea
yes.
is to add to the discussion, and honestly, more people talking about what they could do to change than just saying that this is bad.
This
but
is
actually,
bad,
like,
please
providing
remove.
to the conversation is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like
I
you may
would
think that.
like to. I would like to point something out real quick. Back to what Lynx was talking about, how having a different scan ping suit instead of the cloaking. It would be pretty funny because then don't we have a ghillie suit or like a ghillie equivalent for cosmetics?
It's
We
a,
have
leave a helmet sort of thing.
we have that
Yeah,
face paint
that's about it.
thingamabob that they added. The war face paint, I think it was called. Let me see if
Yeah,
I can find
Yeah,
it
and
real
it's
quick.
ugly
Colors,
as
too.
it's ugly as all get out.
It was it was warfare face paint. Whatever
Yeah, 'cause
they
it-
thought this was.
It's
Yeah, 'cause,
so ugly.
Oh,
Yeah,
we talked
'cause
about
of
the
the
feathers
thing.
face?
Yeah, the feathers face.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking
It
about.
works a lot better on the vehicles. At least
Yeah,
Not the Mag Rider, but the other vehicles.
yeah. I've seen some good camouflage patterns on vehicles with
It
that
works
on.
really well on the Lightning.
Oh yeah, because it's
Yeah,
so
'cause,
low to
like,
the ground.
combining-
It kind of almost looks like a bush at times.
A moving
So
bush.
what is about the ghillie suit you wanted to talk about?
Oh no, it's
Trader?
just it would be kind of funny that if the infiltrator were to have that ability, then the ghillie suit would finally have a proper use instead of just being purely cosmetic. You could also combine that with the fact that we have a pink and red, no, pink and blue camos available for everyone, so you could really be an infiltrator if you get what I mean.
So you get into dangerous territory when you're talking about cosmetics, like playing an actual part in
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
Like that's when it becomes more and more pay to win, and that's something that's you got to be very careful of.
Yeah.
That is true.
You got to really think through what you're trying to say, so it's not going into the pay to win side of things.
That's
But
why
anyway.
a lot of the camo for the Amazon stuff, like the ghillie stuff, it's free to everyone who has that.
Yeah.
You mean like the blue camo for all factions? I'll get it. That's a different.
We'll get
subject
in.
entirely.
That's for later.
That's a
pain
later
point for us
discussion.
MC boys.
Anyway,
But
moving on to our next
Assault.
class that everyone likes, light assault. Motive, I'll let you take it away since you are the light assault guy here.
Okay. I'm saying this as a light assault main before I get any hate for this. C4 on light assault is overpowered. I know it's overpowered because I've used it.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna get flack for saying that. But
He's
what?
not
Okay,
real-
but
he's not
hold
real
on,
light
hold
assault
on,
main.
Lemon, hold
That's
on,
all
Lemon.
this dude plays.
Hold on, Lemon.
He's
Motive,
being
tell
so
us
bad.
why C4 on light assault is overpowered in your eyes, in your own experience. Why is it overpowered?
Now, it's not overpowered just because it's on light assault. I'm talking about a specific combination of C4 plus drifters. On any other jump jet, it's really not that bad. Well, maybe ambushers, but that's arguable. But for drifters, because I can just take a jump pad, hold spacebar over a vehicle, and just drop C4 on it when nobody's looking. Or a strategy that we've been doing a lot recently is getting a bunch of light assault and Valkyries and just taking out Sunnies without anybody looking. When you have, and it's funny because it comes back to the recon thing. It's like stuff like that is why you need recon, because if you're not paying attention, you're just gonna get bombed from the sky.
Yep. Okay.
My question is, what do you suggest you'd like have as a replacement? Because you could go like anti-tank mines, which have a bit of an arming time.
Honestly,
I think this is a rare case where just removing it is fine.
Is fine.
Is a
just
decent
removing
answer.
it, but maybe the rocket launcher could use a little bit of a tweaking in terms of a buff. Not major, because the rocket launcher is still a viable weapon,
Yeah.
but as terms of a
I would say
Because
if you
it
are
is-
removing the C4, like I understand where you're coming from, but if you are going to remove it, then there needs to be some sort of
some balance.
something
Some
balanced to
balance,
balance it out. Then, which I could see the rocket rifle getting a little bit of a damage buff for all of its weapon variants that it has.
Or even just a different
Yeah.
attachment. I mean,
I
there's
am-
only 2 of them.
I'm actually of the opposite camp from Motive on this one. I think that the rocket rifle should actually go to engineer as a utility item.
So you think so, Corvus? You believe C4 should stay on the light assault?
The C4 has been on light assault longer than the rocket rifle has.
That is
Um,
true.
I
True.
think that maybe tuning the C4 in general would be a little bit more of a as a broader speak, because C4 right now is like the most used explosive, which is an entirely different subject. But as of right now, it is the #1 explosive weapon, and that alone should say a little bit of why I think
We
that.
could go
Yeah,
over
the-
the rocket rifle with engineer in a bit, because I do have an idea
Yeah.
that might work for that if we're gonna move. Because we also talked about Heavy's rocket launchers.
Yes, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah.
But staying on the light assault right now. So would you say then that instead of not removing C4, it should only be limited to like maybe 1 brick of C4 for the light assault?
Well, because you remember, we are taking away some AB capability with the rocket rifle already, and when we get to engineer, we're probably gonna, or like with the rocket rifle, we are already talking about buffing it, because I do think it needs a buff or at least more utility added to it. But with C4, I think it needs a slight damage tweak against like certain vehicles. I think, because right now, C4 is one of the only things that can insta-kill all of many of the vehicles in the game right now, which is like a big problem.
Yeah.
Like, I guess
There's no
to add on
counterplay
top
to
of that, like for example, the fact that it can like easily one kill or like
I believe
I
it
guess
can
it does take 2 bricks
takes
to kill
2
like a
bricks to kill a
harasser.
lightning.
2
It
bricks to
takes
kill
2
a
bricks to kill a
harass.
harasser, but it
Oh.
also takes 2 bricks to kill an MBT. Like
So-
that doesn't make sense.
And
Hear
you
me
get
out.
and you get 2 C4 at base, right?
No,
Yes.
you only get the one.
No,
Oh yeah, you have to buy.
You get
You,
one,
you,
but
you
have to
buy
buy
the
the
you
second
buy,
one.
you buy
Yeah, you
C4,
do
you get
buy-
one
you
brick,
do
and then
buy
you have
the
to
second
upgrade
one,
to
too.
get the second brick unlocked.
Engineer is
But
the
you
only
still-
class that can get 4, and that's with a suit slot.
So hear me out.
I feel as if you should be stuck to 1.
So no, that's
I
not.
think
Then that's what I
2
said,
is
Lemon,
fine.
with light assault only being reduced to 1 brick of C4 then, and not being
Yeah.
able to upgrade to 2.
So I
Yeah.
think you should only be able to throw 1 at a time and have to detonate 1, and then you can throw the other, which gives you enough time to at least
Yeah.
react.
Ah.
Because then you
Really?
don't have to manage the damage or stuff like that. It means that now you get the first brick of C4 goes off. Now you know there's a drifter, and because of the fact you can't throw out a second one until you detonate it, that severely nerfs specifically the drifter playstyle. Because now they have to wait until they detonate it, and the amount of distance that they have to throw it from increases the time that it actually takes to kill the vehicle. That is my thought.
That is
On
a
that.
good suggestion. Is
I
that
will say this, between me and Corvus, I think like it brings up a question of what should AV on light assault look like? Like just as a whole, like rocket launcher C4 aside, just in general, what should it look like? If you had
I
to,
don't
like,
think it should be
add
their
a new
main
weapon
focus.
of some sort.
I
They should
feel
just
like
get a baseball bat. Break it down. Break it down with a baseball bat.
But
Well, like after you can't really not have AV capabilities on. It shouldn't be their focus. You're correct about that, but not having any.
they
sort
should
of,
be able to do some, yes. Like engineer, theirs is very much a secondary focus, despite having a lot of tools to do so.
I also think a bit of this comes down to the fact that most classes get access to C4. It's just because of light assault's
I
mobility
believe
that
it's
it's
only
the focus.
infill that doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's well, no, infill does get AV, but that's another.
No, I mean
discussion.
C4 specifically.
Oh,
they don't
C4
get.
specific. Yeah, no. It just comes down to the fact that light assault has mobility, which inherently means that you can get closer to vehicles that typically keep a distance between the infantry and the vehicle.
And
It
I
is
feel
definitely
as
where the
if-
problem.
on engineer to get all the C4 bricks off unless you get in via other means.
Yeah, and I feel as if like removing light assault's capability of just charging in full force and then just throwing down a whole mass of C4 and destroying the thing on its own pretty much. I feel as if that sort of takes away from another tactic that would actually be really fun to do, where you try and protect the Engies as they run up to the Sunday or whatever, do wherever this is, with a guard essentially, pushing for the objective.
I
Nuking it
have been
with a whole bunch of
escorted via
C4.
vehicle before to do that. It
Yeah.
works
So-
sometimes.
So with that, Lemon, technically we already have that, just in a lesser
Yeah.
degree, because light assault minus the C4, like he doesn't have nearly as many explosives as the engineers or the other. Again, I just think it comes down to the fact that they have so much burst with the C4, which is why I was suggesting the
Yeah.
decrease in the amount of like viability in terms of the DPS with the
If I
only
remember
able to detonate one.
correctly, wasn't the next update supposed to include some sort of blast shielding or like
That's
explosive
for-
shielding?
That's for Sunday.
That's
and
for the
that's not what
Sunders.
we're not covering.
And we're not
Sundays
covering
right
that.
now.
We're not focusing on that.
Oh,
I see.
something else from our talking points. Giving light assault team-oriented movement tech.
Yes.
Yes, bring
Jump
back the jump
pads.
pads, please.
Jump pads.
Yes, that is
as,
something.
As a squad leader, ooh, there are so many. When they were a thing, I should have utilized them more than I did, and I regret not doing so. But let me tell you, being able to do pushes from angles that people aren't expecting from the jump pads would like completely change up the game. Like this one simple tool
That
would
allows for a lot
completely
more
change up the way
funny
people play
things.
Planetside.
Because you could get
The fact. Hold on,
Why
real
was the
quickly.
jump pad removed?
It was
It was
removed.
not-
It's not,
okay,
it wasn't
alright,
like
hold up.
removed because it was like got complained about. It was always meant to be a temporary item for some reason. I don't know why.
So
they
hold
do
on,
stuff like
hold
that.
on. Let me explain the jump pad. As far as I can remember, the jump pad was brought in as, I believe it was, Corvus, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it a chapter reward or something? Or it was some type of, it was for an event. That's why it was in the game.
It was a campaign currency you bought after doing parts of the campaign.
First campaign.
And it was yeah, it was the first campaign, and it basically, for anybody that doesn't know, it basically increased people's jump height by I think 600%. And it
Holy
allowed
crap.
people to get up to areas that they normally couldn't, not necessarily the same areas that a light assault could get up to, but enough to actually open up new flanking routes, which in general, and we're going to probably cover this later, the idea of adding more non-combat like utility teamwork roles to the game via the other factions,
Which is
to,
what
like-
they have said that they wanted to do as well in the
Yeah.
dev letter. But we'll get that later down the line. But yes, but anyway, they added it to the game, and everyone liked it. Like, they really liked it, and they even said, I believe the devs have said, if I remember correctly, they wanted to add it permanently to the game. But they said, I think it was like a couple of letters ago, that they weren't happy with like where it was at, or the textures weren't completely done.
It was
so
textures.
It was
It
something to do
needs
with the
to-
textures.
it
yeah.
was being delayed, but that was the end of what we've heard about it. We've never heard anything else but after that.
Maybe this is where they bring it back with this
Maybe.
class rework.
Let's hope.
Maybe.
One of the possible things, because this could be, I don't know where they'd put it. Probably, do you think they'd replace rocket rifle with it?
I think they
think it
would.
would be
I think it would
either
utility.
Rocket rifle
Yeah.
or utility. Although it would make sense for rocket rifle because the rocket rifle is supposed to be like your class specialization, and if that's like a
Yeah.
specific
That's
to
fair. I was gonna kind of disagree with that, but I guess that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
and it again it comes back to the idea of like, again, that would work in my idea of like taking rocket rifle off anyway, because then that would automatically replace the rocket rifle is a as a team based item now instead
Mhm.
of a damage based one.
Is there anything else we could think for light assault, or we should be moving
My
on?
thing is, do you think they would add anything new? Like, just completely out of the blue, they just add something to light assault?
I do
probably-
wish.
besides
that-
the jump pad, do you think they could add anything else or change anything else? Any
A new
thoughts?
jetpack.
I could see a new jetpack, but
um,
what kind of new jetpack would you think they would
Well,
add?
first off, they're the only class that can equip the current scooters for underwater combat. So I think they might add at least one jetpack for the underwater combat, just to at least help balance that out. Because it used to be that light assaults were the MVP underwater, and now they're kind of the worst underwater.
I do.
Well, no,
want
that's not
to-
necessarily true. I mean, I have a build specifically for underwater that's just drifter. I mean, drifter jets do wonders with underwater. I
Yeah,
don't
but
really
they're
have too
still
much
less
issue with it.
mobile than the. The only upside is that you get to use your gun underwater, but like again, most underwater combat's pretty close ranged, especially with the.
I mean, I don't know. I've never personally had a problem with it, so.
Well, I'm just saying is I think that it would make the most sense logically going forward, because it is the one area of combat that they don't have like a specific like jetpack for.
True. Ogre, you wanted to say something?
Yes. While we were on the topic of like adding something to the light assault out of the blue, I do kind of hoped that they would add a grenade launcher to the light assault, not as a attachment really to the rocket rifle, as you know.
Make it its
the rocket
own thing
rifle-
that replaces the rocket rifle.
Yes,
Yeah, I
but
can see that.
as you know, the rocket rifle only has two attachments. It's for the types of missiles that it can fire. But it would be pretty neat if they could have a third attachment, which converts it into just not necessarily one giant missile, but like as a rotary grenade launcher. You know what they look like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we already have the thumper, so I mean, like,
Yeah.
what do you like?
Would this
how
be
does
for
that
like
compare to the thumper?
EV or?
No,
think
I think he
Hmm.
wants like more like a smaller version of the thumper, basically, for light assault. I think that's what he's trying to get at.
Yes, because we do have the thumper, but that's it. We don't have anything else that uses grenades as ammo.
Yeah,
Heroes.
apart from the
When-
black market variant, but that's a very minor thing.
The going back to that, to make it look stand out a little bit more, you could make it airburst.
Ooh.
Like the Scorpion?
No, as in like more traditional airburst
Like-
weapons.
How
like
would you
something would
balance
find.
that? That seems.
Yeah,
That seems like that
Mm.
could. Oof, I don't know, Chief.
that one might be
I
That
mean-
too
sounds
far.
cool as a concept, but I don't know, Chief.
Fair enough,
feel like-
but
I think
Think-
my idea with the grenade launcher could be make it more like a crowd control.
Or like maybe it just
Or
make it
more
do a
like-
concussion instead of actual
like-
fragmentation.
so concussion is more of Heavy's thing though.
That is a heavy specific thing, yeah.
Unless, of
I would
course, you
think
get
like a-
ASP for light
No,
assault, then
maybe?
and then they have access to the concussion grenades.
Yeah,
You could make it flashbang.
True.
That would be cancerous, though, to fight against.
I would
so
say
cancerous.
most likely you'd want to give it a very small blast radius and a smaller duration. You just can spam it more.
Now introducing non-lethal lasher to all factions.
Basically, yeah, 'cause
Sure.
wait, you can make it an impulse launcher.
That is
Ooh,
true.
wait, no. Actually, okay, hold on. Can I?
Well,
The
you
light
already have the
assault main
underbarrel
has been
impulse-
intrigued.
You have the underbarrel impulse of the SMG and the directive carbines and also the grenades. If you add it as a secondary, you can also help your allies move with it and also yourself move with it.
Pair that with drifter jets. That is light
You're
assault.
Then
moving.
it's pure
I
movement
want this
instead of
now.
damage. It's also a utility tool. Say you want someone out of cover, you boop them out with it. There you go.
True.
Also, another
Interesting.
utility I was just thinking about. What if Light Assault can deploy something akin to the safe ball effect that you get from Valkyries and Galaxies? Like just
I was
for a short
actually
time.
going to say that, yeah, if they were to, like, go with the grenade launcher route and use impulse grenades, I think in order to balance that, they would have to cancel out any fall damage received from that weapon, while still, obviously, the differences between in cover and out of cover are ginormous, right? But you don't die from the fall damage, you'll just die from the people shooting at you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would be a fun utility tool because the impulse nades on an underbarrel, they're useful for engineer in some instances because they can keep using them with the ammo packs. Light assault's a bit more limited, but still. Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Mhm.
Do we want to? Let's see.
Yeah, is there anything else?
Any
we can
other
think of for Light
thoughts
Assault?
anyone would like to say? Of that? Going once, going twice.
Flamethrowers win.
Oh, that'll be one heavy.
I
Is,
have a
talked
thing
I
about
think.
that, but we'll wait till we
That
Totally
could be related to my wanting of more underbarrel launchers, but that's besides the point.
Anyway,
I mean,
Mhm.
I say it as a joke, but I do genuinely want
Li-
flamethrowers, just so I can say Hans,
Listen,
get on the
listen.
Flammenwerfer.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure everyone, when they teased the Helios, everyone was like, "Oh, yes, yes," and then there was like, "No, it's not what you think it is."
I
And then everyone's like,
was-
"Ah."
I
It's
was
still
so upset.
good, but in its own way.
Yeah.
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 So
Anyway,
So,
moving on
medic?
to combat medic.
Oh, here we go.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I'm just gonna say it. You should not be able to res through walls. You
Ooh,
shouldn't.
the hot take.
I
That
know it's such a hot take. Resing
I don't
and
think
healing
that's really
through
a hot
walls.
take. That just kind of sounds like a fucking bug.
yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like a
Yeah.
bug that needs to be patched. Isn't that
another
insane?
another thing related kind of to medics. Med sticks gone. Only keep the regen sticks because regen you can
Yeah.
still damage through.
Mhm.
Med sticks no.
Going back though real quickly to the resing through walls, Lemon, they did try to address that, but everyone didn't like it. And
No,
I'm
I
pretty
know,
sure
I know, I'm
hold
aware.
on, Lemon. I'm pretty sure they even said that they are going to look at it again in the future to try to make it more friendly. Cuz you got to remember, the resing through walls has been in the game ever since day 1. So the fact that that
Yeah.
was removed was a big shakeup. That was a very big shakeup for people.
Okay,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. Literally every single game has a medic in some capacity. Say, for instance, Overwatch, which I loathe Overwatch. However, the medics in that game have to make this tactical choice. Do they want to heal this person and spend some time and resources healing this one person where they are at a disadvantage? They cannot be in cover. They have to be focused on this character. And resing and whatever the stuff, they have to make that choice. Or do they want to pull back into cover, wait until it's clear, and then go out? Instead, in Planetside 2, you could just, if they're close enough, you could just start the res, hide behind the wall, and you're in no danger whatsoever. None. Period. At all.
Yeah, that's
So insane. It's
You
So-
you
so
you
to
you are
add on
very
top of that,
passionate
so
about
let's-
this.
to add on top of that, so Battlefield, the way Battlefield does it is it's kind of the same thing. Is you have to focus on said person. You can't like look around or anything while you're reviving someone. But to keep in mind, with Battlefield, the reviving animation is almost instantaneous. You're not like sitting there for what feels like an eternity reviving someone. So do you think that it should be like can't revive through walls anymore, you have to look at the person, but the revive time is greatly reduced.
I mean,
I
it's
would
already
I'd be
really
okay with that.
reduced when you use max med tool.
Yeah, I was about
Yeah, I
to
was
say.
Yeah,
it's
gonna
max
really
say
med
it's
fast
tool.
already.
I'm
pretty
using it right
quick.
now since we're talking about it, and it's pretty quick. The max med tool.
It's quick, but
I-
it's not as quick as in other games.
Yeah, but it's
I'd be
fast
okay
enough.
with it.
I personally think either revive should actually take way longer and keep the current mechanics in, or going back to Battlefield, there's a newer one. You know the one I'm talking about. If you die too fast after you got revived, that's it. You don't get another revive. You're in a weakened state. I think should be a status effect.
I would
Because
be okay
there's
with
too
that
many
too.
people abuse the fact that you can just keep on rezzing, making
Yeah,
these
that would
awful
nerf
stalemates.
zombies like a whole lot. Like throwing in a
Yeah,
resonate.
like you
'cause
can get
they-
one resonate off, but like after that, like not like 40 of them
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
trying to hold a point.
that's a big thing when we've pushed
Because
Vanu, is they
if you
spam
haven't-
revive nades. And
Yeah, if
even
you
if they're
have
at
enough-
spawn at half health, it's still a problem.
Even if you have enough, you can just force them to just stop because they can't push forward at all because of how many zombies there are.
I do wish to point out that that does sound like a good idea. I'm pretty sure there's an implant that actually rewards being revived multiple times.
Yes.
I
That
feel like
It's
that kind
called
of signifies.
Phylactery.
Phylactery.
so first of all, phylactery was changed from its original purpose already. That's not what it originally was. And actually going back to that, that would actually then give phylactery use again with its old version, which was the ability to self-revive with if you did enough points. So like if you made reviving weaker, that would make phylactery more useful in its original form.
Yes. It would.
And the reason why phylactery was so powerful was, I think, wasn't it because you could put it on maxes?
Yes.
And now
you,
maxes
You
can't be
could,
revived
yeah.
you could
anyway.
put it on max.
So that was the
Ooh.
original reason why they changed it. So now bring back old phylactery with that, because of the fact is the main problem of phylactery is now addressed in that maxes can't be revived.
Okay.
True, true.
So
Anyway,
going
Going
to
forward
the medi tool
away.
itself.
Hold on, before we get to the med tool, Flint, you talked about the medical sticks, one of them being removed. Want to go into that a little bit?
Specifically the ones that give you your full health. I'm of the opinion that those should not be a thing because heavies heal stall with them all the time. Same with a lot of other classes. It's just spamming and cheap.
And
Yeah.
it
Only the
also
ones that
removes.
instantly heal you. The medics that
The
instantly
medical
heal?
sticks,
Yeah.
not the restoration.
The restoration to me are fine because you can use those in a way where it's still healing over time, which to me has more counterplay, but also allows you to use them more in a utility sense.
I also feel as if med sticks as a whole just reduce the effectiveness and reason for the combat medic to exist in the first place.
I agree
Yeah.
with you,
People
Lemon.
don't
I
care.
100% agree because like I know
I
every
think-
time I'm trying to do my missions or I'm trying to work on the medic directive, I don't like how it has to be you gotta heal people. So it's like I can't use the medical tool to heal people. I just use the aura effect because it's like I could
Yeah,
run up to a
my-
heavy, I could run up to
my-
a light assault, but it's like they usually have medical sticks and just instantly heal themselves, and it's like okay, what's the point of using the medical
And
tool other than
I just
revive?
want to preface this real quick. We're a lot of vets here are. I just want to keep in mind that there are a couple of vets here, and we're saying that med sticks are overpowered. We know that they're overpowered because we've used them.
But
Yeah,
trust
the-
me, I've definitely used them.
Oh my gosh, I've used them. It's like
The
Jesus.
other thing
Oh, yeah.
is, I use restoration myself mainly as one of my implants because I want to be self-sufficient while keeping my suit slots open.
Mhm.
That's me thing, but even then, that's not instant regeneration. That's not instant health back. That takes a while. I'm of the opinion that things that keep you in the fight instantaneously with little to no effort should not be a thing.
Yeah.
That is a me thing.
There's no real counter to it because I'm pretty sure everyone has seen this where it's like you shoot at someone instead of them
They just
shooting
start spinning around
they
in
start
circles and
they start
stabbing themselves
strafing
with
yeah
sticks.
and they become a crack addict basically.
So, as a replacement, though, I think we should add something like a battery so it actually works the same as a restoration kit, but on shielding.
That is an interesting thing. One,
is- Because
it
maybe
would
one
work
that
with
is
bionics.
constant shield regen instead of just increasing shield regen
Mhm.
speed. Because there are things that help with shield regen speed as well as shield health, but if you have that for battery, it could play into those even more.
Exactly. I think, like, again, that plays into it because, let's be honest, there's another going to an implant really shortly. Bionics is barely used because of the fact that it doesn't get any help from medic or like regeneration or anything like that. So giving something that like that's a utility slot to something specifically to help with that might actually allow for more like diverse plays like that.
I
And
do
you
want
That
to
was
say
just something
too.
I wanted to say.
Do want to say too that as a medic main myself, I feel as if medic is extremely underpowered, and I really feel as if that we should get, drifter jets, we should get flamethrowers, we should
Oh,
Yeah,
all
sure,
those things and more, buddy,
sure,
I get it.
buddy,
Hear
sure.
me out. Hear me out.
Hear me out, though.
Maxic win. Max medic.
Max medic.
But
Speaking
in
of a
all,
class, sorry. Go ahead.
that'll be later. But the reality with medic, I really do think that it's actually a really weird state where medic is almost one of the more powerful classes in terms of
It is.
combat capability, which is
Yeah,
very
'cause
weird
it's got the
in a
self-sustain, and they get assault rifles, which are
What?
one of the better rifles in the game.
Question: why does medic get assault rifles? That doesn't make
I
sense.
would
Medic
say-
getting
I-
assault rifles makes sense, but medic being the only class that gets assault rifles doesn't.
Well, okay, yeah,
Well,
that's what
engineer
that's what
can
I was
get them with
gonna say,
ASP,
is, like,
but that's
Yeah.
besides the point.
it's
Yeah.
so weird. Like, what is that choice?
I do
That's-
believe that they got access to assault rifles to compensate for the fact they don't have access to carbines.
But carbines are not as good as assault rifles typically, other than with the hip fire.
I feel as if they should get carbines and then like I don't know,
Engineers
light
assault
assault?
rifles?
Yeah, maybe, or I don't know.
Doesn't ASP get you there,
Medics,
actually?
engineers, and heavies should all come with assault rifles, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like
By the way, I do want to point out real quickly, and medics can take ASP to get carbines access.
And they can
Yes.
get secondary scout rifles as well.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
That's weird.
So
well, engineer can get secondary shotguns, which is a little less
and
weird. but that's true.
LMGs. Don't forget the LMGs.
Speaking, are we done with medic, or do we want to go over?
No,
No,
there's actually
we're not
something
even
else I
close.
think that we're not done with medic yet. I think the next thing we could talk about though is how I think that the combat medic should not have C4 at all.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. There's no reason for a medic to have C4.
It's like
amount
there's
of
all
time-
listen in competitive Planetside with point holds, there's already engineer heavy assaults who are going to have C4 equipped. The combat medic I feel like should not have it at all.
Yeah.
It should focus more on healing and supporting the team rather than stopping a max push with C4 bricks.
I mean, I would be even more fine of giving them like a suit slot that gives them just revive grenades as a replacement suit slot, so they could have those in a different grenade type.
I do.
So
wish
they
to
have
point
heal and
out-
revive nades like that. I
That'd
feel
be
like
cool,
that'd
that'd
be
be cool.
fine.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I do wish
Yeah.
to point out that if we were to get rid of the C4 for medics, it kind of ties back to the anything against AV. However, I do wish to point out that if you are a combat medic and you're trying to battle a tank, just in words, that does not sound right. Like
You shouldn't.
giving,
The thing is, you shouldn't be battling a tank as a combat medic.
yes,
It's not your
so-
job.
Be healing
It's
and
just-
repair.
The
That's
only
not your
damage
position.
they'll be able to do with it is either the secondary crossbow or the underbarrel launchers, both of which you're going
Yes.
to run out of ammo with.
So yeah, having C4 on a combat medic does. Yeah, I do believe it should be removed. But
And just to confirm,
one-
if we do remove it, we're replacing it with what'd you say, Flint? Like extra grenades or something?
Flamethrower.
Possibly using different support grenades or deployables.
Gotcha.
If you're going to remove the AV, I would add more infantry support systems, whatever
Gotcha.
capacity that may be.
I do actually have an idea of it replacing the C4. You know how the medic has a shield regenerator, right?
Yes.
As a deployable.
Yep.
What if we were to change that for a shield? Like, you know, the NS Max has a shield option. What if we were to give that? Yeah, the bubble. Except it would be, well, I guess we do kind of already have a deployable that covers, you know, the top, right? But this will be a actual bubble.
I don't know if that's a good idea to give that to medic, because
I don't think-
actual
yeah.
physical barriers is not really their thing. There
That's
is
more
more
engineer.
fixing damage, not preventing it.
Armor
Yes, you're
lock
right.
win.
So it's
Oh, lemon.
if it's all right, I kind of want to talk about the Medi tool and my thoughts on that in particular.
Go ahead, Corvus. What are your thoughts on the medical tool?
Well, to start off with, 9 times out of 10, or honestly 10 out of 10, most people don't use the actual heal beam. They only use the revive beam.
Yeah, like
Do you
because
agree with
what I said, because of the medical sticks. Yeah, there's no real point to use the healing.
It's
beam.
either that or you use the AoE heal, which is just normally more efficient for team fights.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. You just use the AoE. You don't even bother with the tool. So
Yeah,
I
no.
feel like there has to be a change, like maybe a diversification of like actual different medi tools that you can choose from, much like how TF2 has like different effects. Like what if instead they actually provide like a benefit of sorts.
Or
Like,
Damage
and-
reduction to heal target, damage boost, something like
I
that.
do
Overhealing.
feel like
Uber charge.
with the medic tool, when it comes to healing people, especially when you're like in a crowd, sometimes I don't really know how you'd fix this, but just something I've noticed is the med tool will sometimes not heal the person I'm wanting it to heal.
Oh my god.
It's the same with
yeah.
repair guns and a lot of deployables. Yeah, that's a constant
That's
problem.
more of a
Client
that,
side
I feel like
issue, I think.
yeah. But like I think genuinely we need to give more benefits to actually using the left click of your medi tool. Yes, I know most people don't even know that you can left click with the medi tool, to be honest, with how little I see it. But like revives is just the #1 way of using a medi tool. There's no reason to heal somebody when you can just revive them from death. So I feel like
Yeah.
there needs to be something that gives a little bit more. And I think giving a little bit of a bump in something, whether that be like a
Temporary health.
well, like imagine like a
damage,
small
other things.
yeah. What about like a tiny little weapon handling like buff or something like that? I don't know, but like there needs to be something that gives a benefit to that over the aura heal or the
I should have
shield
to
heal.
perform open heart surgery to heal people.
Yeah. But
Medic,
that,
hold on. Lemon, I gotta ask you something. Are you getting a little baked right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay, because it's like I don't know. It's like you're starting to have some really interesting
no,
takes.
people who are high don't act like that, Travis.
I don't know. I just feel like
To our viewers here, Lemon regularly gets high whenever
he
we
smokes
do our
the doobie
podcast,
doobie doo,
so.
if you will. So, but what do you guys think about the medi tool? And
I
thoughts?
kind of agree with what you're trying to say. I feel like there should be a bit more diversification
Benefits
of
to
it. Benefits
pocketing someone.
Yeah, because like the
basically.
only time you can actually really see a medic pocket someone with the heal beam is if the heavy assault is wearing carapace. That's the only time I've seen it really be used. But
Okay,
yeah,
I
And then
will
they usually
say,
med
yeah,
stick anyway.
heavy assaults,
True.
if you're like just running with a heavy assault and making sure they don't die, the left click does get used. Like that's what the med
Yeah.
stick is really good
Oh,
for, is keeping
wait.
someone alive, not really healing them.
Wait, I have an idea.
What's your idea?
I remember when we used to play the president thing during our
Oh yeah, during psyops,
So-
yeah.
yeah, there's that. So I was thinking, adding to the fact that we want so we're looking
Wait,
for
hold on.
something
Before you
to...
continue, Ogre, I just want to.
Mhm.
Can I explain what that is real quick for those? who don't
yes,
know?
go ahead.
So the
I will be right
president
back.
is basically you have one heavy assault and then everyone else is a medic constantly healing said heavy assault. So that's basically
funny.
what that is.
So-
Basically what that is.
Medics became the
basically,
Secret Service, basically.
Yeah,
That's
so
funny.
basically, working off of that, for a little boost, I was thinking they could just give, if you were focusing on healing one person, they would have a flat 25%, no, not 25, 25 HP boost, basically. But it will go away, like, like over time and all that stuff. But what if it's stacked? So then it would, obviously, if we played President like that and, those buffs stacked, then we could have a heavy assault with a lot of health. But to counteract that, we would need a lot of people focusing on just one person.
I don't know
I
if
think-
it should stack. If it does, I think it should be limited, because then you get the you have the problem of just someone who, like a heavy assault, coming around the corner with like 3, 4, 5 medics on them, and they have like an extra
Yes,
400
which is
health, which is very hard to
25%
kill. I don't
boost.
think it should stack too much if it is allowed to stack.
I don't know. That's too niche in my opinion to be like a mechanic.
I am
in
back.
my personal opinion.
Welcome back.
I guess it is a little small, but it would be an
No,
interesting
it's
concept.
an interesting concept. I just don't know if that specifically would work for Planetside in particular. I'm sure for a different game it definitely would, but like
Speaking
I don't
of
know.
concepts, I wanna go back to something Lemon said earlier that I've actually kind of been thinking about ever since he mentioned it.
And what's
Had a
that?
good idea. What?
The Max Medic.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay.
A full
Can we
support
hold on,
hold
mech?
on, hold on, hold on, hold up,
So,
hold up. Can we
it can-
wait till we talk about the max then to bring this up?
No.
I-
Now.
Well, wouldn't it
It's
be
more
more
medic
medic
than
now 'cause we're
Max,
talking
I
about
think.
medics?
Okay, we'll bring it up now then. Go
Well,
ahead.
I guess it's your podcast. It's up
I
to
will
you. If I'm gonna
say,
say what I can say.
I would like to go to engineer because I do need to leave and do things soon.
I'll bring it back when we touch Maxes. I'll
Okay.
say.
Thank you very much.
You're
It'll be
welcome.
all
My
right.
dream of Maxic has been crushed.
All right,
Not-
so
not quite yet.
I
We
think
still
we
got a little
basically
bit.
covered everything with like combat back then. Moving on to engineer then. Flint, you said you were the
My
person.
bread and
to leave?
butter.
Yep. All right, Flint, take it away then. What do you think they could
Um,
do with the engineer? Or what do you think
so-
needs to change with the engineer?
Honestly, playing as engineer and having a lot of ASP in terms of equipment, the main thing with engineer is you don't have mobility tools and you don't have the health, say other things. The main thing with engineer you have is your utility, which comes in the form of using your implants and your suit slots and everything you've unlocked to make the most of it. The thing I find with NG is figuring out what I want to build it to do is difficult. We did mention possibly moving some of the AT to engineer, and if that were to happen, I would say give a fourth weapon slot where all AT weapons go, including AMRs. If you were to do that, you could put AMRs in there, rocket launchers, and the rocket rifle, or different variants of it. I personally think that would make swapping through weapons even more complicated. That's just me because I have to fumble so many things. But engineer is very much the help vehicles, harm vehicles, because you have specialized in a sheer amount of mines or C4, or you have waist high barricades to place in front of vehicle spawns to do a funny. Because you are very much tied to either maxes, deployables, or vehicles. Those are all your things.
Don't forget about supplying your team with ammunition.
Yes, that as well. Albeit that is something you can do very much passively.
I'll be honest, I completely forget that the engineer has that ability.
What, ammo packs?
Ammo packs, yeah.
I just throw them out whenever I can. It's passive XP, plus it's useful if you're using underbarrels. Because
Not
it
unless, of
allows
course,
them...
you're that one person on Reddit who said that giving out ammunition shouldn't give you experience.
Oh, I saw that was
That
was
is-
an interesting
no.
conversation I've had with somebody. Was yeah, they thought that anything that isn't kills shouldn't be rewarded because you have to inherently be you're just inherently you should do that.
'Cause-
Which that was an interesting conversation to have with a that was like a while ago though.
You
thank
Yeah.
God.
inherently should do that, but does everybody do that? No.
Nope.
They don't. You're getting into commie talk now.
The main thing with engineer I find is that I feel like my suit slots are cluttered for choice of what to do, and choosing what to do is the main issue. Because due to the sheer lack of mobility, if it's going to stay that way, I would rather have more suit slots to diversify what I can do. Because, for instance, you can have a hard light barrier and a turret, but you can only have 2 hard light barriers that don't regenerate. Once they're gone, you have to resupply to get them back. Or if you want to go full, like, if you want, like, a barrier, you can have 2 of them. Again, one doesn't regenerate. Or you can have turrets and mines and other things. It's just choosing what you want is difficult. How many tools you have in your toolbox.
So, the general census I'm getting from you is you're being
Build tool?
overwhelmed by how much stuff you can do.
It's more so I have a lot to do, and I don't have enough slots to do it with.
Okay. Okay.
That's a
Uh,
me
I
thing.
would say an easy fix for this is, much like the engineer in TF2, a build tool. Why not have all these buildables and deployables into one tool?
I don't
And
know
you,
if
like,
that,
as you upgrade, you get more stuff from it, I guess.
I think that gives too much power to engineer for what it is.
That is
right
too much,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
too much.
I personally would say that my biggest gripe with engineer is it's too dependent on ASP right now.
You need a lot of it in order to
I can
diversify your
agree with that.
weapons.
The fact that ASP is practically designed around engineer is kind of annoying.
Yeah, they're really-
LMGs,
Yeah,
secondary
it's-
shotguns, assault
Let me just pull up
rifles,
ASP real quickly. So
ATAs.
Universal has got 8 options. Infiltrator has 2, Light Assault has 2, Combat Medic has 2, Heavy Assault has Combat Medic has 3, Heavy Assault has 3, Engineer has 5 you can choose from, and I
It's
have
a
spec
lot.
into 4 out of them because it's like I don't want the
Yeah.
EMP grenade access from Engineer.
I had another idea about that build tool. What if it's like a card-based system? So like you have to like
I'm sorry, what?
pick and
Don't-
choose what buildables you have
I
on
mean,
that build tool.
No.
Keep in mind
Lemon,
there
I
are
don't
only
think that'll
really
work.
There's only 2 buildables. You got turrets and you got the shields.
Oh well, yeah.
So
I
what
think
type of
it's-
turret? I think you only really should have one. That is
Well,
a
I'm
given.
saying like there could be more turrets. There could be more.
Oh, there definitely is in the API. Like, I
Yeah.
personally want an anti-A mana turret that just goes on its own.
You mean the
I
one that's
feel-
in the files?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one that is just it's like
We'll
a
get-
Spitfire, but just says "F you" to
We'll-
whatever's
We'll
flying.
be getting to that very shortly when I
Ac-
when I
When,
start
when
talking
I
about
say card-based
Oh.
system, though, I do mean like with this there be more deployables to choose from rather than just the like 2 or 3.
What do you mean by card?
Yeah,
system? Are
when you say
talking about
card-based system,
slotting
it
in?
feels
that sounds
like-
randomized.
You mean like a loadout within the tool?
I'm not saying randomized.
Okay,
at all.
hold on.
No.
Lemon, are you saying like just more options to choose from?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
loadout
why are you
within
saying
the
a
tool
card-based system?
When I
That
am saying
that
card-
okay,
when
hold
I
on,
say
hold on,
card-based,
hold up,
I
Lemon,
mean, like,
hold
deck
up,
building.
Lemon. Be quiet for a second. When you say a card-based system, what everyone I think thinks they go to, what everyone thinks of immediately is you like choose cards that you know like Battlefront 2 where you choose certain cards to play with to like give you
that's
bonuses.
kinda what my mind jumped
It's
to.
like I don't know why you're wording it like this. Just say you want more options. Don't say a card-based system because
Well, no,
that opens
'cause,
up that opens it to huge amounts of interpretation that could be taken anywhere.
That is true. That is true. What I basically mean is like deck building, I guess.
A loadout for the build
A
tool.
loadout
basically.
for the build tool. That is
You
what
could,
I'm saying.
you could just say a pick 10 system like in Call of Duty where you have a is that what you're trying to say? You're like you get a certain amount of slots and you pick which slots you want to use up with what.
Yes.
Is that
And
what you're
here
trying to say?
I want a
And maybe
turret.
they have a
Here I
point
want
system.
mines. Here I
Maybe
want
the point system
like
at that, so like you can only have, like I don't know, the mana turret is I don't know 5 points. You have 20 to spend, something like that.
I don't think that'll
I-
work for Planetside.
I think
I
that
feel
you
like
get
if
too much
anything
power.
they'll just expand like the ability slot, the suit slot, just adding an extra one here or there. I feel like that's all they would do. None of
That's
this
all
like
you really
point
need,
system.
honestly.
Not
Yeah,
the
'cause-
it's like we already have a system. We don't need to gut it and redo it with this point card
I guess that's
based
true.
system
I
that
guess
you're
that's
talking
true.
about.
Yeah, I
And-
think the main thing is just an extra suit slot with a bit more flexibility in there, and I think you're good. I
Yeah.
don't know if giving more AT weapons is needed, because I kind of like having to be forced to use an AMR as a primary.
Actually,
Yeah.
I
And-
do have a critique about the engineer, real quick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
While we were discussing about turrets, there's just one thing that I really don't understand. Why are turrets privatized to the specific engineer who put them down?
Yeah,
wonder
that I
if they're
agree
not
with.
True. Yeah, that's
I think
something I
it's-
feel like they could change. Is like let it be.
Like,
Like I understand you want it to be only the engineer.
So you can make it like vehicles where you have the option to
Yeah,
lock it.
You know,
exactly.
like press
That
page
would be
down
nice.
to unlock it, so anybody,
And-
any class can
and-
mount it.
And the engineer who built it has priority, so if they want to kick somebody off of it and take it for themsels, they absolutely can.
Yeah,
And
because
again,
I-
that's-
I
Talking about
that's
the
swear,
man
like, there were
turrets.
so many times where I would be like, in a in a battlefield, right? I see a mana turret, right, and I'm an engineer, and I think like, oh, I can use that, but then I realize that's not mine. I can't use that. Like, that just
And it's-
the ability
and it's
of just
usually-
placing down, a
It's usually in a
turret.
good position and unmanned.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's how it
So-
goes.
Speaking
Yeah.
of which, going back onto that, another thing they need to change. I hate the fact that they despawn your only the mana turrets when you respawn. I don't understand that. That's pretty. That goes back into that. It should just be like a vehicle until you re-pull it, or if no one's in it for a while, then it can decon. But the idea that it decons immediately after you respawn is dumb.
Because sometimes people use them as cover,
Exactly.
and like it
But-
can be useful even without being fired.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's you're behind a turret, but you can't use it, even though it's in a really good position. It's right in front of a doorway. The engineer who placed it down is probably on the other side of the battlefield, and you're stuck basically
Or-
behind this turret.
Or they get shot out of it and they can't be rezzed.
Exactly.
Like,
So,
Just make them
real
work.
quickly then,
Oh,
I would like
that-
to point this
that
out
there's
then, real
sorry,
quickly.
that
Sorry,
reminded me of
Flint.
something.
Hold on, Flint. Hold on, Flint. Let me say
Yep,
this real quickly
go
since we're
real
on the
quick.
topic of the anti-infantry. Excuse me, since we're on the engineers' turrets. So, what would happen then if, say, you were on the turret of someone else's turret, and the engineer who placed it placed down a new one? Would that just automatically kick you? How would that be implemented? Do you think then?
I think it would
I would-
just despawn it.
Yeah, I think it would just kick you automatically.
It would
and
just kick you
despawn
out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
It would kick you out and also despawn you.
Despawn. Yeah,
No.
you're going back to the spawn room, buddy.
It would log you out and delete your character.
A
Yeah.
whole
Right.
new
Little
level
lobby
of
bar.
NC
Go.
team killing.
Now, now you know what's
no.
more realistic? It'll give you the G15 error.
G15 error. Oh no.
So
Yeah,
One
but
of
no, just
the
it'll just
gripe I
kick
was
you
gonna
off.
go
Yeah,
back
okay.
to-
Okay, go ahead, Flint. Go ahead.
I dislike how bodies get in the way of me deploying things.
yeah.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
and if there are
Yeah.
other things near them preventing me, even though it's clearly would have enough space, that to me is very annoying. Because say I want to line up my waist height with someone else's, it won't let me sometimes,
this
or
isn't-
I can't put grenade dampeners nearby.
This isn't even like an engineer thing. This is just like, cause like
This
let's
is
say
a
I'm
universal
running,
class
like a
issue.
hard light canopy. I can't put a fucking hard light canopy down
Yeah,
because
I
you
feel
know
like
what?
if that was a change, that would be good for everyone.
Give me the option to kick the corpse to the side a little bit, so I can place my fucking deployable.
New
Yeah,
update,
like-
kick mechanic.
Yeah.
Get away, dead
So-
bodies.
I have quite a few things to say about engineer personally.
Go ahead, Corvus.
I am gonna head out right now.
All right,
Things
thanks,
are
Flint.
due.
Thanks for
This was
jumping
good
by.
being here.
So, I actually go exact opposite of what Lemon was saying about the pick 10. I think engineer is actually one of the best classes specifically because of the fact that the idea that you actually need multiple to like get like a good defense up. Because again, a lot of the game is based around scaling. Because yeah, something might not be balanced around small fights, but you've got to take into account the big fights, which is what a lot of the game is going to be. Like things can spiral out real fast.
Yeah.
So I think like the restriction of only bringing one thing onto the battlefield kind of makes sense in terms of deployables. However, I do think there should be a greater variety of deployables to use within Engineer. We've we mentioned it before, but bringing the Spitfire group in, because in the API, at least at one point, was different variants of the Spitfires, of anti-air, anti-vehicle, and of course, what we know is the anti-infantry turret.
So
Now-
what about for like just a spitball an idea out there? Because the first thing that comes to mind when you say like more utilities for engineer. What about? And I understand that these games are vastly different, but what about like the bubble shield from the finals?
The bubble shield from the finals, I agree. I think there's an easy way to fix that one because again, we already use it with Max. We already have a system for that. It's just that the actual deployable itself would take damage, or you could have it where instead of actually stopping damage, it actually reduces damage done to targets within the zone or something like that. Could be low, it could be something like that, but it would be interesting to see. I don't know how they would tweak that necessarily to make it balance, because then you run into the fact of people stacking it on top of it, on top of it, on top.
Yeah.
I guess maybe making it a two-way shield like a like a Citadel shield may work very well with that.
Flamethrowing Spitfire.
Um,
You just want a flamethrower in this
trust
game.
me, Lemon.
would-
At the end, I have something about that. Just hold on.
I also think that there should be a dedicated slot for like archers and stuff like that, because like again, there was this, you remember a while ago we were actually talking about archers being pretty useless before they got their headshot multiplier upped by like a shit ton. And the idea that was being thrown around a lot was make it an ability slot, or make it like have its own slot so that you didn't have to sacrifice your main weapon for it.
I would
And I do
assume
think
it
that-
would be something similar to the heavies and the rocket launcher.
Well, yeah, like something like that. Like make it like a in this case, like what if you like instead of running like a Spitfire, you can run an anti-material rifle or something like that. On top of that, to actually be more, again, have a more specialized use case in very specific fights. Like you could choose a Spitfire, you can choose any of the Spitfires, any of the Manatorts, or you can choose to have anti-max capability with the Archer. In terms of the vehicles, it's kind of like, again, it's mandatory to play Engineer. Let's be honest here with that, and I don't think that necessarily should change either. Again, the biggest thing I have a problem with Engineer right now is that it is very reliant on ASP. There is a clear distinction between being able to play optimally with an Engineer when you have ASP and when you don't have ASP. It goes from, in my opinion, the weakest class to one of the stronger classes, simply because of the ASP points. Again, infinite ammo because I'm an NC main myself. God Saw infinite ammo is dumb, especially if I am like just lighting a prowler up with it, because I don't have to run away, I don't have to run or do anything else other than sit on this hill and just line up shot after shot after shot on this guy, stopping him from narsing off. And that's just like one of the examples, because you gotta be a little worried about that kind of stuff. And I'm sure Beetlejuice Engineers also do exist, although I mean not to the same extent. But you kind of got to be a little bit careful with the amount of specializations, or you swing it in the other direction and you give more ASP tokens and abilities to the other classes. I know Infiltrator does not have a lot, and I know Medic or Light Assault Medic need a little bit more, and then Heavy, of course.
Yeah, again, it's like Infiltrator, Light Assault have 2, I believe. Let me just double check here. Infiltrator, Light Assault have 2, Medics and Heavy Assault have 3, and then the Engineer has access to 5 ASPs.
And even going back on that, especially because we've been adding more special ASP tokens as of recent, now you can fill out like what used to be only 5 tokens out of all of them. Now you can fill up like 75% of all the tokens.
Yeah.
Which is ludicrous. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Sorry if I was taking up a lot of time.
No, it's perfectly fine.
No, it's fine.
Nope, I don't have anything to comment on that. I do believe you are correct in the whole fact that Engineer is really locked behind ASP. Once you do have it, Engineer becomes very, very good. But yeah.
Actually, looking at the sheet here, we were supposed to, a new repair tool was supposed to be discussed, and a possible area of effect. How did we discuss about that?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet. We can talk about that now, though.
Alright, then let's discuss it. I would assume that if the Engineer were to have a new type of repair tool, it would have to be something similar to, remember that flying drone that the NS have, that used to, back when the jump pads were available?
The NSO still have the flying repair drone ogre.
Yeah.
Oh, they still have that?
Yeah,
I thought they got rid of that along with...
No, it's still in the game.
It came back with Demeter Veil and the Triage Pulse.
See. Well, then I would assume that some sort of area of effect, a repair tool would be something like that.
So, think less of like an actual like tool, like a welding tool, and think more of like we actually have an implant for it, Electrotech, the one that you break your shield and it releases a repair pulse, something like that, where it's like you hit F and it just does a one-time pulse and it repairs everything in the area around you. Instead of being able to give constant heals, you can give an AOE in times of trouble and stuff like that.
The one implant that I don't have maxed out because it's like it's not the best.
The only thing I don't like about that idea is you can get pretty much the same effect with the Punisher with the
repair grenade. Yeah, the
underbarrel.
The Punisher actually, so the Punisher doesn't give that much repairs. It gives you more of why the Punisher works is that the fact is it's very it's something you can add on to repair.
The Punisher is more like a fire suppression almost.
Yeah.
When it comes to...
And it definitely benefits more. It's used more just simply because you can put it on top of your repair tool.
No, yeah, definitely. I'm just saying, like, you can get a similar area of effect kind of thing from either repair grenades or Punishers, so I would think it would have to be decently long range and better
I
than the
think
repair grenade.
I think make it strong, like not as strong obviously as a repair grenade, but like give it a good like repair field. Because the thing is, when you say repair grenades, you got to remember that's in the context that those cost nanites to use,
Yeah.
which automatically means that it's going to be a more powerful variant no matter what. The Punisher nades are actually don't repair that much. What the bigger thing that they do is they give you that actual soft HP for a short time, which can allow you to tank another shell or two in the heat of the moment. It is nice for the repairs because again you're stacking it with more repairs. But if you've actually tried using just the Punisher to heal your vehicle, it takes a while.
Oh yeah.
So like have it somewhere in between the two, I would say would probably be a good idea. Again, obviously not as powerful as the actual repair tool itself, but again, if you put it on like a cooldown, like a fire suppression, then that would actually bring in again the gate of having to, because it would be more skill based because you'd have to time it right for when you need it most. Like you pop this off right before a fight starts just to heal that 5 HP, you're gonna lose the fight then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just again just adding a little more diversity to builds and stuff like that. A little bit fun in that regards.
Going back to different repair tools, then, do you think that the repair tool itself should, like, the basic one that we have in the game is just the the jack of all trades one, but do you think that there should be repair tools that are very good at healing maxes or very good at only healing like vehicles, but and then of course they have reduced healing against everything else?
Oh yes, but I also want to add on to that. What about the lesser known mechanic of repair tools? Disarming mines.
Disarming
and
mines.
explosives.
Yep. That's something
So
that's
what if you could
always a
do
secondary.
Yeah. Well, what if you
clicking
could,
on your mouse?
Wait,
what if you could do it
can-
from farther away so you can actually disarm C4 bricks from safety or like claymores and stuff?
Hold up. You can do that?
Yeah. Well, there you go. See what I mean?
There you go. Yeah,
that's a known mechanic.
just like how no one left clicks with med tool, no one really right clicks
Right
with
clicks
engineers
with
tool.
repair tool.
Is this mechanic even talked about in the game?
No,
No.
not really.
No.
It's
so
it's
this
the
is
same
actually-
thing that a lot of things suffer from Planetside of lack of
So-
communication.
Lemon, this is actually really important because you know how many times engineers will go under a vehicle while you're trying to roadkill and they'll throw tank mines underneath you? That
Yeah.
means that you can shoot them out and then disarm all of the mines without actually setting them off. And they do give you a
thought
decent amount of
had
XP.
to set them off.
No, you can save your vehicle that way.
Oh my god.
Look at that. We taught him something new today.
You know,
there we go.
that makes me wonder how many other people don't know these things. But then again, it's me we're talking about. I know all the dumb things in this
I mean,
game.
you're the one who introduced me to pressing B on some of the rocket
such
rifles.
a major mechanic. Why would they not talk about that?
Well, hey, don't worry. If people
So-
listen to our podcast, then a lot of people know now.
Yeah.
So going back to that though, what about having something that's specifically for like really specializing in disarming? Like what if you can quickly disarm or even think about this, if it's C4, what if it actually pauses if it actually disrupts the clicker for the C4 brick? So you can actually catch it fast enough, you can actually stop the explosion from going off.
Or like you hold right click and it has like an area of effect where it like doesn't set off the C4 or disables it over time. That could be
Something
interesting.
to think about.
Could be interesting.
Oh,
But then of course you got to
yeah.
think to yourself, okay, what if you got like a whole squad of those running around? Then is that going to be overpowered?
I
and
don't
stuff?
think an AOE. I think just a singular device. Like say for example, like oh it's a C4 brick. You hit the button, it blows off. Like for example, you have two C4s on the Sunday. It blows off the first one, but it doesn't even if it catches in the explosion radius, because you're diffusing it. So it stops the vehicle from actually getting blown up completely. And this would I feel like would be balanced because of the fact, first of all, you'd have to catch the C4 before the light assault or whoever detonated it, which is already hard enough of a task. But like just the idea that you could disarm it in a hot zone would be pretty nice. And again, that would go in a way of like tempering C4's abundance. But again, like giving it more range, giving it a faster time to disarm would be nice. And then yeah, I do. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually wanting to talk about different types of repair tools that we could have. I would assume that a form that we could have it would be similar to how the ant has like different, those mining tools that it has. The ant.
Mandibles.
The mandibles.
Yeah, there would be one version which is like the regular, which doesn't have cooldown, which is the one that we use right now, right? But then there could also be like a burst version of the repair tool for like quick and like fast repairs, but it has a cooldown. Actually, wait, no. The current tool does have a cooldown, but like a more like exaggerated repair rate and a faster cooldown.
So kind of like
So-
what the ant is Like how like the
So-
two versions
Yeah.
of the ant.
Yeah.
But for
So I would
repairs.
think what you could do with that is make it where it's like a dart or something you stick into somebody and it immediately puts it on cooldown, but then until the dart expires, it gives consistent like repairs, even if they get out of range of you, for example. Like you have to get close to deploy it, but like afterwards you don't have to be near them to continue the heals for a short duration.
And,
Flint got done with what he was doing. So welcome back, Flint. How was your
Welcome.
thing?
Welcome back.
It was alright. Got that coding done real quick.
Good.
On now.
We are still on engineer, and we're talking about new possible repair tools that could be
Repair tools.
brought in, like possible ones
Ooh.
that are only good for like structures or vehicles or maxes,
Or-
and also
or
like we're
disarming.
actually on the topic of like what if they brought an upgrade or a different engineer tool for instead of repairing. You know how you can left click to heal, but right click to deconstruct tank mines in C4.
Yes.
What if
yeah.
what if we brought a tool in like that had more reach and you could do it faster? That's what we're talking about right now.
For disarming?
For disarming, yes.
What would be its other caveat?
I would assume the
I mean,
repair.
Overheating
my-
quicker?
So no, so it doesn't repair as much, but it instead
Ah.
like is way
Yeah.
better in disarming. So
You're
trading off repairs
you're
for
sacrificing
specific
repair
disarming.
speed for disabling or like disarming C4 bricks and
Yeah.
tank mines and possibly nullifying grenades for a little bit, stuff like that.
Something I thought of for both vehicles and maxes is effectively what is a repair mine, but you just place it on them and it stays there until either they take enough damage or it takes damage. So
So,
different
like,
to repair grenades. Because repair grenades stick to an object when thrown, but they have a set duration. This would
Like
be
a magnet
set,
mine.
yes, like a set healing amount it does, and then it's done, instead of a
Okay.
duration. That way, it can help with chip damage, say on an armor push, or if a max is being hit by a lot and it needs a little bit to get through.
And you're saying that this would not go away over time, or it would?
It has a healing amount, not a timer.
Ah,
so
it has a
it's
healing
after it's-
amount.
Smoke.
Yeah, it has a certain level of juice, and then it's gone.
Okay.
This to me
Because I
would
started
probably
thinking to
be a
myself, well, how would
utility
that?
option. So instead of a repair tool, it's more like a like placeable, like an actual, like how the status sticky mines used to stick to anything. It's like that, but it's for repairing things.
With the
Well, we do already have the
Sticky
repair
mines.
grenades, though.
Well,
Yes, but
Yeah.
those
it
only
serves
last
a
for
bit of a
limited
different
time.
purpose.
I think what he's talking about is that they stay dormant until they need to be used, unlike repair
Yeah.
grenades, which pop off immediately.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's only a specific object, not an AoE. So it's
And I'm guessing these can be shot out too. To
yes,
prevent
if
it
you
from...
can hit them, yes. That's why you'd want to place them on the back or side of something.
I think to balance this out, you'd have to make it you'd have to make the repairs a percentage based instead of a flat, because
That
certain
I would
vehicles will
be
benefit
fine
more
with.
from that. Because for example, a harass or getting a flat 180 like repair would be way bigger of a difference
Yeah.
than a Vanguard getting a 180
A
repair.
percentage, like healing a certain percentage of HP over time and then disabling, I feel like would be a useful tool for specific instances. Weaker on lighter things, more useful for the bigger things. Because you know when you have a main battle tank and it's starting to get on fire and you just know if you had a little bit more healing it'd pull through? Something like that. It give a little bit more preparedness if you're entering with armor or a max or anything. Hell, even put it on a
interesting.
barricade or like a waist-high wall so it can survive more grenades being chucked at it.
I have an interesting concept. Say if the engineer had access to something like that, where it's just a deployable that you put on something. I think. Have you ever noticed how, like, say for example, on tanks, and you have the fire suppression on, you have that little node that's kind of like on the back of the tank,
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
little square.
and like the shield deploys on
Um,
Sunders or like above them.
Yeah, so I would assume, well, I would assume that an engineer would basically be able to put that deployable on, like, the back entrance, but it'll be like shiny, like a bastion.
Oh, like give them set locations when you deploy it on an
give them
object.
set locations, and like obviously to counteract where they are, they would shine brightly, like I said, a bastion hardpoint. So while the enemy will, is not, the enemy will be able to look for those hard points and, focus on those, while,
say if they're an enemy engineer, you could take your AMR and snipe it out for the rest of your units to
Exactly.
start dealing with.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I feel like that'd be an interesting thing
Yeah.
to do.
Okay. I would like to actually finish up the engineer here, but I want to say one more thing. Since we talked about the medical tool being able to be used for walls, I also believe then that the engineer repair tool should not be able to go through walls as well.
100%
Do
agree.
that?
Yes, they can do
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
It's any beam.
It's any
beam
beam.
can
It's
go
like
through walls.
so. It's like as the engineer, if I've seen this with maxes and I've done it myself. If a max goes outside, you can just stay behind the wall and keep repairing the max through the wall. And there's no counterplay to that to try and kill the engineer. That does need to be changed.
That's
just like the medical
what
tool.
repair or heal grenades are for, is healing around, doing things around cover.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Now
does
we
anyone
get
else
to the fun
have
one.
anything else to say about engineer before we move on to
More under barrels.
more under barrels?
Yeah.
That's
Oh, I guess there's like one. I don't know if we touched on this already. I kind of zoned out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
But
We'll let you know if we already talked about it.
faction-specific mana turrets would be kind of dope.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
can see that.
I did cover that, I think.
Like
don't-
NC gets a big old railgun, TR's like flame turrets, Vanu is just
Oh,
lashing.
yeah.
Flame
Nah,
turrets,
TR gets a minigun.
Minigun. No, yeah, I want minigun.
Yeah, please,
Double.
no, please
Listen,
make it a laser.
listen. Every time I hear flamethrower, I always think of NC because of in the trailers, the
Maxes?
NC Max had a flamethrower at one point.
Yeah, it is really weird how they
Uh.
swapped which faction gets that, but in
Anyway.
reality, I don't think they should get lashing Spitfires. That sounds...
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Let's just do laser.
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 Laser. Constant beam.
Just a constant beam, just a brrrr. Like the
Yeah. Oh, like the Halo 2, like
like the
rifle.
yeah, the Jackal, the sniper rifle they get, where it's just that constant beam.
Yeah,
all
so
the
it's
way
not like a
across the map.
charge up, it's just a continuous
It's just a
beam of-
continuous beam. You're getting beamed.
NC's is a single precision rail round of fuck you. And it obviously
charge
has to
weapon?
overpenetrate. It has to.
Oh yeah. And then PR
Anyway.
would have to be like a dual machine guns. It
Oh
has
yeah, you can
dual
have
machine
them
guns. No,
like
dual
aircraft
chain
mounted.
guns. Actually, no, make it so that it has the same audio effect as the chain gun, but it's two of them.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's a lot of
So-
DACA.
that is a lot of
So
So
Daga.
we're gonna be moving
All
on
right,
to
so
the funny.
yes, let's move on to Reddit's most
Heavy
underpowered class,
assault.
apparently, the heavy assault, ladies and gentlemen.
It's only viable in pushes
So 75%
or
of
point holds or whatever
Planetside.
it was.
The number one class that everyone plays in this game at least once, the heavy assault. Let's try, and I know we have our own takes about, but let's try and keep an open mind about this and try
No,
not
I'm
to.
gonna be mean.
You're
They're
gonna be
I'm
mean?
gonna be mean.
Okay, only you can be
I-
mean. Everyone else has to behave. So yes, the heavy
So-
assault. The number one thing that if they change this, there is, no matter what they do, there is gonna be people who are gonna complain about it.
Let them leave.
You know what? I'm gonna be in a bit of a minority here. I think as long as they remove med sticks, heavy's fine.
I think that as well. I think
I'm
That's
of
fair.
the opinion that Heavy's overshield should be more like Fortify, where it does not reduce headshot damage.
Yeah.
It will still be able
Oh.
to reduce splash and body
But
shot.
I don't think heavy shield does reduce headshot.
No, it
damage,
doesn't
does
reduce headshots.
Well, it does also serve as like a few other
'Cause-
things.
Well, yeah, but it's the reason why I know it doesn't do headshots is they can still be one-tapped by sniper rifles.
Then let me rephrase. I feel like the heavy shield should not cover their face.
Oh, like the actual overlay doesn't cover their head?
Yeah, where you hit
Okay.
them in the face, it does full damage and circumvents the shield because that rewards counterplay of good aim.
yeah.
So I actually don't think that's good because of the fact that we already have so many people aiming for the head already, and it's kind of actually the whole other deal that we reward headshots a lot in this game, especially with self-regen and all that stuff. with
Assimilate. Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Having-
I would say headshots don't need more incentive than they already do.
It just comes down to I just don't think that having it as a resist thing is fine, but the fact that you can just press F and immediately gain an extra, what, 400 health? What is it?
So we actually talked about this earlier, but I don't know if you were listening earlier. We were saying it should be based off the percentage of your health at the time of when you pop it.
Oh,
what-
no, you did mention that, yeah,
Because
yeah.
what we mean is this. So basically, you're at full health, you're at full shield health. You press F, you get that extra 400 plus HP. But what we're saying is, if you get the drop on a heavy, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this, you'll notice that if they don't start immediately popping medical sticks, they'll 180 quickly and press F and get that extra 400 health, and then just drop you. What we're saying is basically, if you get the drop on the heavy, they lose half their health, and then they press F. They don't get the full 400 back. They get only 200 then.
They
So
get
it's,
like a
it's
percentage
still,
based off of their health
yeah,
levels.
basically. So it's still, they still do get some health back
That's fair.
and shield,
That's
but
fair.
not the full. Oh, I have an extra health bar now, so you have to waste more bullets, even though you
Makes
got the
it more
drop on me.
fair.
Makes it more fair, yeah.
Because that also allows
Basically.
infills to deal with them, because one of the worst matchups for infills is fighting heavies.
True.
Short range infills.
Yes,
the worst
short
matchup
range
is
specifically,
heavies.
because that's mainly
Yeah.
where I deal with them, is I like running SMG infill.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Mm.
But it is definitely interesting because with so many of the community being heavies, you're always gonna have a backlash no matter what you do to heavy.
Yeah, no
It's
matter
just
what,
inherent.
no matter what
According
we
to-
say here or whatever the devs decide to do with the class rework, the heavy class will be the most controversial one out of everything.
According to one guy on Reddit, no, Heavy Assault is not the most played class in the game. In fact, it's one of the least played classes in the game.
To be fair, he said it was the least useful class. He never said it was the
Oh,
least.
yeah, yeah, that's right,
I
you're right.
will say something I would like to see for heavy is have their energy shield have more resist versus vehicles. If they are going to keep their rocket launcher, like
It should not.
So what would you
I-
replace with the rocket launchers if you were to get rid of them? Because I know you were talking about that earlier.
well, that wasn't me, but
Was that not you?
no,
It was me.
Lemon mentioned giving them heavy weapons instead of rocket
Yeah,
launchers.
yeah, that's what it was.
If you were to do that, you could give rocket launchers to engineer, and they could maybe use that as a
I think
as a
that's,
suit slot. But I don't
I
think
think-
engineers need
yeah.
it.
I think keeping rocket launchers is not a big problem with having it on heavy. I do think, and this is a weapon thing more than anything else, is that the decimator is too good. At least
Yeah.
it's the best option. But
Especially
that's
against
a weapon issue, not
infantry.
a class issue. Well,
it'll
I don't know.
just-
I've never actually had a problem with the Decimator personally.
You also
No,
fly
no,
around
it's
a
not
lot
an
more.
issue.
I'll say this, Motive. You'll notice it if you play Max. You'll notice that when you go up against heavy
True.
assaults, they'll usually always have a decimator that just shoots
Mind
you.
you-
No, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, that's
So this
fair.
has to
Literally-
do with the fact that they nerfed all the other rocket launchers against infantry. But again, this is a different topic for a different time.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, the amount of times I have tried out Max, because I've never really been able to play Max for real, aside from that one time, that one op. The amount of times I've turned a corner and just been decimated by the decimator because 2 or 3 heavies have it, and not
What?
being able to do anything to counter it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll get into
You
Max's
get our
in a we'll
Aegis
we'll talk
shields,
about more about
but,
Max's in a second though.
Yeah.
I want to
Um,
be a Max main.
It's actually funny because the decimator isn't the worst thing to fight against a max with, which is kind of funny actually.
So Corvus, what
again,
is the
most
worst
people
thing
don't
to
know
fight
about.
against then?
Underbarrel grenade launchers. On a
Oh,
headshot,
yes,
they deal
that-
90% of your health.
Yeah, that's right.
As a
I
Max.
forgot about
God.
that.
Yeah.
about
no,
that.
it
is
does.
stupid.
Well, they can also one-shot infantry if they hit them to the face as well.
Yeah, but we'll get into that when we get into maxes. There's
Yeah.
a couple things that could be said on maxes, but right here is for heavy assault.
Yep.
Yeah.
I-
I will
Listen,
say having access to heavy weapons is definitely an interesting concept, despite some of them being nerfed due to outfit wars. Poor
Yeah.
jackhammer.
Poor jackhammer. Poor
I do
fucking
think
jackhammer.
the heavy class needs more heavy weapon diversity.
Uh,
The fact there's
same.
only, like,
Yes,
really 2
they
heavy
need
weapons
more
in
of
the game,
them,
so-
and if we're gonna give them
I-
access to them in their instead of a rocket launcher, if we ever decide on that or think of that would work.
I think heavy weapons should actually be in the same slot as rocket launchers. I think they should be a tertiary. They should not take a primary or secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because like
Because
you have
it's-
the Stomper, which is rides the line. It's a whole thing. It's basically an anti-tank thumper, but
Yeah, but like it's heavy specialist weapons, and I think specialist inherently means that it should have its own slot, kind of like how light assault has its rocket rifle in its own
yeah,
slot.
because you have like the heavy chain gun, you've got the
Well,
lasher,
yeah.
you've got the thumper, everything else.
Yeah, or in if I have it my way, the engineer slot.
But yeah.
I
it's-
do have just a thing I want to say about the heavy assault shield.
Yes.
I do kind of wish that there was like some sort of different variety of shields, like a more physical one instead of just the overall plus
you're
HP.
You're thinking of are you thinking of like something physical like a riot shield, or are you talking about
Yeah,
like
like
a
what the NC Max has as a shield. Like
I
they
feel
pull out a
like
physical shield and they
that would
just
be where I'd put the dome shield if I were to ever do that. That or on NG as a creation thing is having ones that are more team oriented, like NC's Demeter
Demeter
Veil.
Veil?
Yeah, which is I love that as a concept of helping everyone who isn't
I
a
don't-
heavier max around you.
I don't think that should be I don't think that should be faction specific.
It
to be honest.
def-
I think it should be for everybody. All
Yeah,
factions.
it's a more support heavy role, which is nice because heavy is normally not a support class. Because they did want to give non-combat roles to them. If I were to give heavy something, it would be a damage reduction field generator.
I think that there is a deployable for that already.
Well,
That's
that's
only
for,
for
that's for
grenades.
explosives.
That's only for explosives.
Yeah, but
If I were to
also
do this, it
real
would be-
quickly though, doesn't the NC have an ability for their heavy assaults that
That's
stacks
the
with?
Demeter Veil.
Yeah.
That's Demeter Veil. That's what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
that's
What
what I
we're
thought.
basing it off of. That's why we were saying it should be for all factions and not just NC, because that's
Despite a lot
too
of our
good.
stuff being
Yeah.
given to everyone.
Considering you guys got Triage Pulse, where we got Demeter Veil, yeah, that's not an equal exchange, not even close.
Trios
I'm gonna
Pulse
be
does
honest,
need a
they're
bit of
cheap.
some love, yeah.
Uh,
It needs a faster cooldown than I think more charges.
but
Eh.
I personally think heavy is actually like one of the ones that needs the least amount of changes. I hazard to say it
You
does
just need
need
to do them
changes still.
right.
It does need
Yeah.
tweaks, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, we don't need to make any major changes or anything. It's all right for now. It's just like we said, needs some tweaking.
need some
Yeah,
tweaking.
if you
Like
remove the
especially
med
like
stick,
honestly,
man,
yeah. If you just remove the med sticks, I think then heavy is just in a far better
Fine.
position.
It would
going
definitely be more manageable.
Yeah.
And if you tweak the shield just a smidge after that, I think it'd be in a perfect spot for me at least.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do also want to point out that Planetside is a big game. You're sure everyone has a chance to be that guy, but just remember, if you play Heavy Assault, you're not always going to be that guy. Don't expect to be the main character in a 96v96v96 fight. All right.
Well,
Sure, there might be that guy somewhere, but you're not always going to be that guy.
hey Ogre, I'm pretty sure a lot of heavy assaults are that guy, because they are very good at aiming, they are very good at shooting, and if they get low on health, what do? They just pull out the medical stick, pop it in them, and go about back again.
Dude, that's why I just roadkill them. They can't
I
pop a
think
med
you're
stick when their
forgetting
arms are
I'm
broken.
him.
Yeah, they can't pop a med stick if their fucking arms are broken.
My pronouns are he because I will never be him.
That's why I go by he,
My-
they.
My DNA test came back. It turns out I'm 100% not enough.
Is
Uh,
there,
Okay,
They must
no.
have amnesia. They forgot I'm him.
So we get
is
to talk
there
about
anything else you want to go over heavies? Because I do feel like giving them more havoc stuff would be fun.
Be a bit more of a disruptive class as well. That could be
Yeah, that
interesting.
is part of their utility, at least with their grenade or underbarrel grenade launcher slot for their submachine gun, is the havoc stuff, which is useful against maxes, vehicles, deployables, not construction. If they had more
Actu-
access to that in some way, I don't know how.
Actually, hold on. I think it actually might be a better idea if you were to give the Havoc stuff maybe to the light assault, like maybe the rocket rifle. We give that to the rocket rifle, right? Like Havoc missiles.
That could be a
There-
nice
I do
different
also
ammo
think of
type
the
for the rocket
NSO
rifle. Yeah.
engineer. They specialize in havoc, but that's because of their faction-specific thing.
Yeah.
They have their AMR that does it, and also havoc mines, but it's only those. But yeah, that is possible. Moving around some potential buffs, like debuffs and whatever else.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like
But
if
I don't
you,
think the heavy assault should get like. I mean, sure, it doesn't have a lot of options in terms of havoc, but I think like giving more havoc stuff should probably go to the light assault in terms of the rocket rifle.
Yeah, I could see that the
potentially
rocket rifle getting a different ammunition type for Havoc rockets.
maybe messing
Still,
around with its fire
still
rate,
does
reserve
damage, but its
ammo.
main purpose is to disrupt repairs on Sundays and stuff. That could be something I could see.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the main things. Like support debuffs are very useful to give out. Anything else for heavy?
The only thing I
that's
could
it.
say next would be to like how heavies hate infiltrators, etc., etc. But that's a different podcast for a different time.
Yeah, well, we also know the infiltrators hate the heavies too. It's kind of a
It's a
ongoing
mutual
It's a
hatred.
mutual hatred, yeah.
But
I don't-
the less said about that, the better. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like class matchups are a whole different deal because
Yeah.
it all depends on how your loadout is and how your aim is, situations, a bunch of other
And again,
things.
like I said, another podcast for another time regarding that. All right.
Maxes.
Yep, our final class of the day, the Max
I
class.
get first dibs.
Yeah, go ahead, Lemon.
I-
You've been holding this in for a while.
Medic
Okay.
Max.
All right. No. I've been
Dang.
thinking about it, and I don't think Maxic is far enough. I think that we need one for every other class, a subdivision.
Oh
I'm
god.
saying,
Oh god.
I'm saying, Max Infiltrator, Might Assault, Mingineer.
That is
This man is going in the deep end of a hot take so
Minfiltrator?
much.
Well, don't we already know that light assault
Minfiltrator.
max already exists? You just have to glitch it in.
Call it the hacks,
That's
the
true,
hackers.
I
Them
want
flying
Might
around.
Assault. I want Might Assault.
Okay, so
All right, there,
Okay, so I
Lemon.
have,
Okay,
like,
buddy.
okay, he might actually not be like okay, sure, it's a crazy idea, but it might have some merit behind that. Like, I think for an idea like infiltrator Max,
That's a
obviously
terrifying
Hold on a
concept.
sec. Exactly. That's but like hear me out. It is terrifying because let's say we give a Max a cloak, but he can only like say do melee or like I wouldn't say shot. It's a little too much, but like something like short range, like a pistol equivalent of whatever Max has.
Flamethrower.
Sure.
Okay.
Actually,
Oh my
actually, yeah,
God.
that's short range enough. But like basically, you get an infiltrator Max, it will cloak, and then you're let's say you're in a containment site, right? And you're just walking down a hall, and then suddenly you just see in front of you just a Max just like appears out of thin air. But you can't.
I don't
Okay.
think any of this is
no,
good.
No.
I'm just
Well,
I'm gonna be
no.
I'm gonna be the
So-
opposite side of this and say no. This is not a good
As
idea.
far as the Maxic goes, because I've been thinking about this ever since Lemon said it. This is something I've actually been trying to balance in my head. So my idea is that this is okay. Let me get this out right the way. This is a spitball of all spitball ideas. This
Okay.
isn't supposed to be taken
Yes,
seriously
go
at
on.
all.
Go
Go on.
ahead.
So, take the Max, give it a what is essentially like the triage for vehicles. So it does group healing essentially, like an AOE
Okay.
healing effect, but it has 0 offensive capabilities.
I mean, you might be
Well,
honest.
basically-
Motive, you might be onto something because I mean, Reddit does say that Max is not an infantry class. It's a vehicle.
It's a
Well,
vehicle,
I-
dude.
What would you
Okay.
give it for its arm
So-
things? Support tools?
Yeah.
Repair
will-
tool on the right,
I-
fucking
I'm
healing in the
thinking-
left.
I'm thinking about it, and I think that would be kind of interesting because it's basically acting as like a mobile, like banner carrier, basically
Support,
increasing morale.
yeah, a mobile, yeah.
Wait,
Actually,
mix it.
you know
Make it a
what
mix
else?
of medic and engineer.
And
where it
again,
could
its
give
main
ammo.
counter is that it has 0 offensive capabilities. It cannot harm other players.
Actually,
Unless,
you
of
know
course,
what
it
that
punches
reminds me
punches
of?
people.
Maybe
I
guess-
maybe
yeah,
it
let it keep
has
melee, that's
more
fair.
health. Maybe it has more health because of that. Because otherwise, you're going down very, very quick.
A
Actually,
support max is an interesting concept. as
Again,
opposed
yeah,
to
it's
full
just a
offense
concept.
max.
It's not like
Well,
a
to be fair, we already have something like that. The defectors are a support max, basically.
yeah, but
with how they're
defectors aren't
designed,
like
kind
Well,
of.
yeah,
that
but I'm
kinda
saying
support.
is, I'm just saying is that you can go that route that is proven to be a thing, but if we're being real, if we're talking about more realistic like changes other than, well, what was it? Maxic or whatever the fuck you
Maxic.
said,
Yes.
or some
Yes.
dumbass shit you just said. Sorry about that.
And
By the way,
Might
Travis. Don't even start with me. Because fun fact, if you don't know, that is actually something you can actually glitch in via a revive. If you are unlucky enough, you can actually die as a max, revive as a light assault max. Um, and the idea, yeah, and you get the benefits of both. It's kind of dumb, but if we're talking about actual changes that I want to see in a max, one of them is actually legitimately adding a melee option that works like the power knives of old, where like you forgo all ranged capacity for melee prowess, because the biggest problem with max right now, and is the reason why I think Reddit's been so vehemently against maxes existing entirely, is maxes have lost like the biggest thing that was a thing about them was breaking stalemates.
Yep.
This happened when we got rid of the max rush and
Their
all
whole
this other
point
stuff
is a
that
force
happened.
multiplier.
And
Yeah.
don't get me started on TR having to lock down their max so they literally can't break a stalemate.
Yeah.
But we really need to bring back like things that actually bring max back to what its original purpose was, and I think adding melee, foregoing all range for melee, and like making it
A
more
brawler
focused on
kind
the
of
closer
class, more
range.
like.
Give it
I-
health regen, more
I mean,
armor, but it's only melee.
Ironically enough, the NC Max works in that role. I mean, yeah, people will still scum it with the Maddox and stuff like that, but like, you gotta admit that the NC Max is the only one you actually see really push a stalemate, unlike the other Maxes.
Yeah.
Other than maybe
Yeah.
Defector who goes in.
The
It
thing that they
has
could
the
do- hold-
potential
Go ahead,
to
Flynn.
prevent. The main reason why the NC Max can do a lot is because of its shield, which can prevent a lot of explosive damage,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yep.
just prevents it from being insta-gibbed like TR or VS Maxes typically are.
Again, C4.
Yeah.
Yep. The
That's the thing with
overabundance
them.
of C4 against maxes.
And mind you, this isn't necessarily like a buff that I'm talking about maxes. I'm just saying is to move it away from the sitting behind a corner and just gunning. I think maybe make it to where it actually has to confront the enemy. It has to push. You push with it. You don't
Corvus,
sit back and.
I'm gonna
grind out like
interrupt
Kobe
you
does.
here. Don't mean to. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I think
No, you're good.
I think if they really wanted to, I think where the max is now, then if they really wanted to, since it's in its position where it is, where it's kind of weak, it can't be revived. I think the max rush ability could be brought back into the game.
Oh, I 100% agree. It should be brought
Oh,
back.
was that the ability where you could like charge forward or
Yes,
something?
Yes.
when you
That-
pressed F, the max would kind of go into like a charge up state, and then would just zoom, like run super fast into any direction. Because that was the whole reason why the max was brought into the game, was to bring in and to break up point holds. But it, it was good on paper, but once implemented, it was like, well, since it is a force multiplier, people realized it was very broken, and you could just no point hold could be hold anymore at that point.
But
So now
that
it's
maxes can't be revived.
yeah, but now
it
since maxes
might
can't be
take it at a time.
revived, it might be worth bringing it back just to give Max that utility to actually bring it back into its original role. Because now it's like, well, as
Did
we
it
said,
used
Max
to hurt
is.
things when it charged in, or
It
was
used to
just
knock
supposed to
it
be-
used to knock people away, and it did hurt things, yes.
Hmm.
But the whole reason where Max is now is it's not a point hold. It's not a point breaker. It's actually a point holder now. It's flip flopped. It's become a place where if you have a Max on point, it's hard to break that without
become
actually.
the very thing you swore to destroy.
Yeah, become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the thing with Max is that while they have so much health, any amount of AT makes a lot of them run, and
Yeah.
it hurts.
Yep.
Of making Max so easily killable has actually reinforced its whole thing of farming. Like, that's the irony of it all, is that people keep saying, well, we need Maxes to be more killable because they're too much of a farm machine. Well, in doing so, you have reinforced that play style, though. That's like the thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing for me, is
It's
that now people aren't going to
become-
be brave with it. They're going to sit behind because they know they can't be revived. They know they're going to waste their nanites. It's kind of like the Hesh Lightning. Yeah, he's not going to push up from the fucking hill because he's farming y'all assholes.
Yep.
And again, too, is like if going back to the revive mechanic, the new revive mechanic we had thought about was you can only be revived once as a max in this case.
Think that
Because,
Max Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, because like the weakened state could eventually wear off in some circumstances, say if you're in a
Yeah.
very long fight. For a max, I don't think it should.
Yeah.
This is a mechanized suit with a lot of moving parts, and while we have nanites, fixing
Yeah.
bullet holes ain't easy.
The whole state of Max right now, it is a controversial one, but I'll say it. I don't feel like Max is necessarily a force multiplayer at times, like it's supposed to be. It's
That
been
is
It definitely
very
doesn't feel
cold
like
take.
it doesn't feel like one
it's
at
been
all.
neutered completely from where it once was.
Literally only NC Max and
Yeah.
probably the Defector are the only ones that feel like force multipliers.
Yeah.
And I honestly think give a new abilities to the Max, the 3 new. Give NC one that isn't related to getting in close, right? Like just for the sake of everyone having 2. Give TR the ability to close in. Give VS the ability to close in the distance. Because NC is literally the only one that can close in, and we've noticed the results. NC Max is definitively the best Max minus the Defector. And the only reason why Defector might be up there in people's hearts is because they're anti-Max.
Yeah. Defectors are
Okay, I know we're not
very,
supposed
very
to touch on
powerful.
weapons, so speaking of the Defector, can I get into this?
What
Sure.
is a defector?
The Defector is the
The
NSO.
The
Max.
NSO max,
NSO Max.
the one with the grenade launchers.
Oh, that yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
so my biggest gripe with the NS Defector is the Hummingbird. It is
Oh,
it
yeah.
is insanely overpowered. Like the fact
That's
that you
the
can just
seeking one, yeah.
Yeah.
the fact that you can just infinitely lock onto something and just continuously lob stuff at whatever you're locked onto is
It's got a
kind of
range
broken.
too. Like,
Yeah, and it's
severe
yeah,
range.
I would like to
So,
note though, I
I'm
think
not saying nerf it to the ground, but I am saying just tweak it a little bit, please.
Well, to be fair, it
Um,
is against that's the one against the air, right? The anti-air version.
It's,
Oh, no,
it's,
it
it's,
also
it's,
works on
it's
ground
everything.
too,
doesn't it?
Every vehicle,
Oh.
anti-air, anti-vehicle,
Jesus.
everything.
No, that's not right. I think it should only be anti-air. And like anti-vehicle, like ground stuff.
I
it should just
think
be
like,
manual.
if we're
like
talking about the
dumbfire
Hummingbird,
unless
I
it's
think
air.
it should be a lock on to air, but it should not be a lock on to vehicles.
It dummy
Yeah.
on ground, yeah.
Dummy on ground.
And it shouldn't just be able to continuously fire. Period. Like it needs.
It
a
needs
cooldown of some
it needs a overheat.
Yeah.
Like
Dummy on ground.
Not
just like
the,
me,
not
fair play.
the. It shouldn't have the
Shut up.
base overheat like the grenade printer. Because I have used the NSO Max. It is fun to
it
play around
needs a
with,
harder
but
one.
it does need a little bit of a tweaking that one. But anyway, also I'm pretty sure the NSO Max still costs the same as the old Max units of 450
It
nanites.
does.
I think they
no,
need to.
no, it's 350.
It is
was
350?
before it was 350 before Max's got nerfs. So it used to cost 350 when Max's cost 450. So now they both cost 350. So Defectors were actually cheaper at one point than Max's, but now are on the same level.
Something else I've been thinking about.
Hey, look,
is
here's all the C4 coming out to kill my ass as a Max.
So, Maxes, if we're gonna have them be point disruptors, I feel like they need to do more tanking, less damage.
Yeah,
In a
no, I
sense of-
100% agree.
Yeah, they need to be this sort of like mobile support thing, which can hurt stuff and discourage people from moving, but it should just murder everything in front of it.
Yeah.
I do agree. Give more resistances to Max, like make them beefy, but also in regards, really tone down their damage profiles on all their weapons. And the only time that they should be a threat is when they have the melee weapons. And again, when you're at melee range, guess what? You're in C4 range. And I feel like that's fair enough.
I will
Yeah,
say
it doesn't make
I
sense
would
how it takes
rather
2
the
punches.
Ogre,
Oh, you go
Hold
ahead.
on.
Sorry.
Let him talk.
the anti-vehicle max weapons I feel are fine where they are. It's mainly the anti-infantry ones that are the issue. Because having bursters is a very good option for dealing with any amount of air, and having AT on any max is useful for dealing with, say you sit up in a decent spot with engineer cover, you can discourage vehicle pushes. But you can't outright stop them half the time, because you also are susceptible to being run over. A max should be a force multiplier, a support tool, an anchor point, not a murder machine. So, you may go, Ogre.
Yeah, it was actually about the maxes melee. It's just I think that okay, this might sound a bit crazy, but I think that all melee maxes should just be an insta kill because it doesn't really make sense that it takes more time to kill a person via melee than it takes with your guns. You know,
Yeah, and
like
I don't know. Going off of this, Ogre, I don't know why they added Juggernaut, other than just to be a meme. Because it's like
what was
If
Juggernaut
you
again?
Juggernaut
Yeah.
is if you punch an enemy with the melee of the max, they go flying.
Mhm.
But it's kind of inconsistent though, from what I've seen and read. It's not most reliable. But yeah, it's like if you can get it, you'll just send someone flying, which is
On a
hilarious.
tanky
But it's like, okay, by the time you even get close to that, chances are A, he's gonna have C4 and blow your ass up, or B, someone else is gonna have C4 and blow your ass up.
if
Yeah,
you
like it should
have
be. Yeah,
the stronger, tankier but less damage max, I feel like that'd be useful because it allows you to clear space, be more of a tank in the make space, not cannon role,
Mm-hmm.
which
like I
would
think there
work.
just like I think there should just be like a reward for getting into range than just
Yeah.
a danger that like, oh no, I'm in melee range. This person could kill me instantly with C4. You know,
Yeah.
like it should be
Yeah,
like,
no.
oh, I'm in
If they
melee range.
ever decide to
It
make
is.
like an actual proper melee max, if you can choose that, and it's like Vanu gets a energy sword, etc., stuff like that. The max itself is like very tanky, but it can't shoot you or anything. It only has to use melee. I could see it working pretty well.
Should we make the
So,
melee
it
do
is-
anti-vehicle damage as well for the memes?
I don't
It could be
think
like the
so.
AV knife.
Exactly.
Like an AV knife level of
Yes.
damage is fine.
Not like heavy AT, but enough where if you're constantly battering a Sunderer, it's gonna hurt it.
I mean, to be fair, if a max is that close to a Sunderer, I think it should at least do a little bit of damage. Not like, again, like AV knife, that's fair, I think.
Yeah, like maybe a bit more, but not as much as its normal
Yeah,
AT
ju-
ranged weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of going back to the anti-air. It is kind of weird how limited infantry in general have with interactions with air, or it's entirely one way.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Because
the
I
only
want to.
constant anti-air we have is either a max or a heavy, or if you're on C, you could maybe use the masthead, but they nerfed that thing to where its projectile speed is eh.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, there is a little bit I want to touch back on heavy, and I don't know if you want me to go into that or not, Travis, or do you want me to stick with? Just
We
max
can
right
go
now?
back a little bit. Yeah. What do you want to say?
I'm not a fan of rockets being only either dumbfire or lock on. I think there should be a little bit more interaction between that. Like I am a big fan of flak guns. I think that there should be a heavy flak gun that actually requires skill to use, but the trade-off is they can't flare out of it if you hit the fucker.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So like
But-
the burster max, but for heavies.
Heavies, yeah.
You
like
could
a
have
big
like
one.
a shoulder-mounted autocannon that fires
Yes.
flak shells.
Exactly.
It's
Something
kinda,
like that.
I'm thinking of like have like it's like the TR specific rocket launcher, the one that has the heat seeking, but instead of that, you just have like the 5 shells going into the rocket into the launcher, and you just see boom, 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 and it goes out. That could be interesting.
Exactly.
That could be
I think
interesting.
that'd be kind of fun, because let's be honest here, as air mains, because we do have a few, there's nothing more irritating than just getting lock on,
always locked on. Yeah.
So like having
Yeah.
a little bit of skillful interaction would be pretty nice. But I just wanted to point that out with heavy, because I feel like that would probably be the one that could benefit from that the most. But going back to maxes, I do agree on the whole thing of like getting the melee range, because again, you're fighting a exosuit. Why does the exosuit feel more threatened by you than you to the exosuit at CQC?
Yeah.
That
'Cause
is
TRs is canonically
absurd.
for riot control. NC's is heavy
Fuck.
mining equipment made to take getting rocks chucked at it, and VS is space technology.
Yeah, you would think that the max that is well, actually no, never mind. I retract that statement because I remember how I use my max. Never mind. The NC max is totally okay with being C4'd. If you know, you
Because we
know.
have our energy shield.
Oh my lord.
And the
Absurd.
NS max is literally like a dying robot. Like
It's basically a broken guard from
it's a walking
Sanctuary.
bomb.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
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 All
Is
right.
there anything else anyone wants to say about maxes?
Yeah. Anything else about the max unit, ladies and gentlemen, or do you think we've
Might
covered
as well-
everything?
Maybe something with the Berserker implant, because that does circumvent Havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make
Actually,
like as a consistency sake, even though a majority of us who use Max have Berserker on there, it should be affected by Havoc.
Also, on that same note, Age of Shield should totally take damage from C4 bricks. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know I abused the hell out of that, but it really needs to take damage
Wait,
from
it
C4
doesn't?
bricks.
It
No,
does not. No.
So the way it works is that it's considered indirect damage motive. So
Oh,
like the Age of Shield works like a vehicle armor. So if it doesn't directly contact the Age of Shield when it goes off, it's considered all indirect damage, and therefore none of it actually applies to the Age of Shield.
that is.
That's
That is
why
something.
Wow,
NC
that's
Max can
broken.
survive.
Wait,
Wow.
Motive, have you not
I
seen me where
never
I've
knew
tanked?
that.
Motive, have you
Wow.
not seen my gameplay where I've tanked like 12 C4 bricks and then tanked a Mozzie shooting at me with the fucking what was it,
guess not.
the Banshee, and then gun them down with the shotguns, because you can do that with that shield setup. So it's like
Actually-
that's why NC Maxes are so tanky, is because of that.
The shield allows us to reposition and get where we need to and survive things we realistically shouldn't. That's why
Yeah.
our Max is able to actually function compared to most others.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in that same regard, that really does need to be patched out, like 100%. That is a bug.
Actually, there is something I want to go on with the the NC Max having the Aegis Shield. I think that the Max should really all of the other Maxes should really have more profound special abilities. Like I know that the TR one has the lockdown effect, but I think that's only really useful for the.
It's only really good for
grenade.
anti-air.
Yeah. Or in some
Yeah,
cases,
and-
anti-vehicle from a distance with the
Yeah, with
rocket
the
launcher.
grenade.
Grenade
Yeah.
or the rotary rocket launchers.
What's it called? The fractures.
Yeah, those.
And
then
the VS Max. What do they
it
have?
has Berserk, basically. Its own thing, which is Zealot Overdrive, where it does more damage, but it takes more damage.
Yeah.
So
and-
it just increases its murder potential at the cost of being a bit more glass cannony. And then NSO has several, which is the self-destruct, the bubble
The
shield,
bubble
and I
shield.
believe a different one.
So
I think it
I
had
think
3, didn't it?
specialization is cool, but we're already running into the problem of trying to actually make them useful first. So I think that while that's nice, I do think straying too far from the idea of getting close and personal with specializations could lead to more problems, because that's why we're getting the maxes are getting heavily nerfed right now.
Yeah,
is because they're not
Yeah,
failing
that's
out the
true.
current role that they need to.
They need to be the point breakers, not the point holders, and
Yeah.
they need to deal less damage but tank more.
Yeah.
Specifically for infantry purposes. The other two, I feel like they're in a good spot.
All right.
Overall, anything else you want to go back on, or is that...
I think we have covered everything that has to be said about the max at this time. So moving forward then, on the topic of the class rework, what about faction class rework? Is there anything that you guys would say that needs to be looked at for faction specific? I know we talked about the Aegis.
so-
I know we just talked about the Aegis shield for the max, for the NC. But anything
So I
else
have
do you
a-
guys think that needs to be
I have
looked
a
at and possibly
couple-
changed?
I have a couple of ideas. One of which is this is my biggest one. NC, I get the whole thing about shotguns. Can we please move away from the fucking shotgun meme, please?
Railguns are a bit more appropriate for how things
railguns-
are.
I think we should stick with more the mining motif. Like again, I've always been a proponent that our shotguns should actually be more consistent but less RNG based, as like sonic weaponry, where it's good at short range but like you don't get a lucky spread and dome somebody from like 15 meters out. I think really
Our personal weapon ammo types as well. They need to
Yeah.
be not
our
as...
own personal weapon ammo types,
Yeah, because disruptor rounds are on a bunch of similar things, and then
Pierce
Heavy
is
has
on
the implant
Heavy.
that... Yeah. We need to keep them faction specific in that sense. Like, TR has explosive ammo. They also have K-Cap, but they also have impact. VS has their lasher, the one that slows stuff, and then we have a third one. NSO, I don't think they have too much special ammo types, do they?
No, they only get the integrated soft point as their thing,
Which
and that's not
I
really an
feel
ammo
like
type.
is-
That's just a
That's
faction trait.
Faction perk, yeah. I feel like making sure the factions have their specific tools that aren't super spread around would be good.
Because here's the thing with and this is what I've always thought about faction perks. I like diversification of the factions, but you really do have to worry about the idea of diversifying so much or too much and finding that a faction has a very, very specific niche that they are fantastic at. Look at you don't have to look farther than the Lasher, and if you played this game for any amount of time and been in a tunnel fight, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's nothing more annoying than not being able to get into a point room because everyone is lashing a single door frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, in almost every other scenario, Lasher is kind of useless. But in that one specific scenario, it is impossible to break through, and you lose bases because of it. And it is, I wouldn't say like it's not OP. It's not OP, but it's definitely like.
As I say, the Lasher just needs to have its blast radius reduced a little bit, just to be around the impact area and not, you know, they shoot at the doorway. I'm on the other side of the doorway and a little bit to the left or to the right, and I'm still getting chip damage. It's like that's
other
not
thing
fun.
I would say
all.
is reduce its magazine size so you have a potential of getting around the constant explosions. Because it can hold for a very long time.
True, I think it's like 150 shots before it has to reload.
In terms of Vanu in particular, heat weapons should not cool down while they're dead. That is pretty.
That only enhances the Vanu zombies with what Cats likes to do.
Again, it comes back to the idea of in a game where reviving, with the prevalence of reviving as there is, it is a very big advantage. I know that there's an implant for it, but I feel like again that kind of comes back to the. You have to take it a perk just to even get like a short amount of it, and it's not even in the same regard as the other faction.
I do know for
give diversification.
TR, it can work for filling up their LMGs, but
yeah, that just the idea on getting ammo back while dead is, I don't know how to feel about that personally. The in terms of NC, we already talked about the Aegis Shield. The masthead, I think it's in a good place now. But
yeah.
our ammo types are very much like being used by other factions. PR has a problem with having useless ammo types. K-Cap, I'm looking at you.
Some of their guns also need a little help in terms of their performance, because they do not compare to NC DACA guns.
Yeah, that is a very weird dynamic that the GD7F, an NC weapon that's NC all about hard hitting, performs better at fast fire rate than most TR weapons.
Yeah, when I started playing with you guys at NC, and you start saying, "Oh, you get the G7F, get the LMG promise," and I'm like, "Why does this have huge amounts of fire rate and decent amount of damage?" And you're like, "It just does," and it's like,
and it's weird because
we have a lot of high damage weapons. Like we have many 200 damage model weapons. 3 assault rifles that have that model.
But what's so weird is that why does it work on NC, but those same
TR.
exact like methodology? Sorry, words.
Words. We've been going for a while.
Doesn't work on TR. Like it's insane because it proves that they know how to make a good damage model for that. But like with a lot of TR weapons in particular,
they
like
just don't hold up over range.
Yeah, I am not a fan of a lot of your TR guns. Ironically enough, my favorite ones are a lot of the Doku weapons. But
yeah, those are some of the funny ones. Like, I feel like that's another thing. I feel like a lot of faction like guns, some of the original ones, need a little bit of the Doku treatment.
Yeah, it definitely feels weird looking at all the different like weapons in general, and then you can see a clear distinction from what was made in like 2012 and what was made like a couple years ago. I think that not necessarily like making new weapons, but just a little bit of like just
they have a little flair to
visuals,
them,
diversifying them. The EM1 and the EM6 look the damn same. Let's be honest here, and they need a little bit of a visual difference.
Yeah.
Plus, you have the integrated perks that they have that don't even need ammo types. Say like the VS's SMG shoots faster over time, or how you have the spin-up parts for TR's Doku weapons.
I will say that actually about Vanu weapons, the unstable ammunition, how their bullet projectiles get bigger. It's like, oh, I don't have to aim for your head. I just gotta aim in your general direction. That I feel like could maybe be looked at and tweaked a little bit.
Just tweaked a little bit.
For their faction flair, because it's like it's like what? Yeah, why would I not go for that? To be honest.
I am
maybe you could reduce magazine size as well when you do it. A few other things because they are using batteries.
And again, don't misconstrue this as us wanting like everything to be the same. I am the biggest proponent for adding new content that's specific to factions. I'm even of the idea of that I'll take a new weapon that's diverse from the other factions, even if it means it's weaker.
Like
But
the
at the same
Charger.
time, like after it's been made and when it's been tested, because I understand things get through playtesting all the time. There's nothing you can do about that. I do think that we need to look at the weapons and see how well they're performing, and just tweak them a bit.
Yeah.
Give them more faction
That's-
flair without
and-
over-tuning
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. And
Anyway.
again, my biggest problem right now is actually the fact that we're doing that with implants. Like, I don't
Yep.
like the idea that Scavenger is being like a way to do heat mechanic ammo for VS basically for all
Yeah.
factions.
Anyway, moving away from the weapons and class abilities, that is something we should talk about. Shared class abilities, like different implants and new stuff that they could add for that. Any thoughts on that?
I wouldn't mind more classes getting waist highs. I know heavy can get them as a secondary option. I feel
For
like meta
ASP.
getting them would also be useful. Because
To be honest, with the way that I played or used to play Planetside, I I cannot make an input on implants because there's a lot of implants. You know, it kind of gets overwhelming sometimes, especially when there's just so many things that you could do with them, and it's just, well, which one do I choose? Which one is better? You know?
I feel like with implants though, with class abilities and everything like that, with excuse me, not class abilities, with implants and class rework, I feel like implants as well could have another looked at. Then, if they're not going to add anything new, they could definitely re-look at some of the implants because some of them are just still. I'm gonna say it, dog
Impossibly
water.
good.
No, not impossibly good. I'm talking about the ones that are just bad. It's
Oh,
like you never
yeah.
pick them. You never go for them because it's like, why would I choose this over this? It's like they could buff some of the other implants. I feel like for all factions and all the classes, just to
I
kind of
really
make them more
like
better.
the concept of the weird niche ones. They just don't do enough.
Yeah.
It's weird when they do enough. A lot of the community doesn't like that either. Like, that's the weird part about it, right? Because then, like, the devs are getting conflicting information on this stuff. Because on one hand, like, we're praising the sensor shield, but most of the community, at least the vocal, like, minority, maybe it's a majority. I don't know.
We don't know. We
But,
don't know
like,
the
a
statistics.
lot of, yeah, again, it's
but
hearsay at this point.
a lot of people on Reddit are saying that the sensor shield is too good and it should be removed, etc., etc. We've already talked
But,
about
like, the
Maybe
thing
at
is, though,
max
is that-
rank with some bits and bobs, but still generally it's fine.
Yeah, well, it's weird because if you make it too good, then it's like, then it goes up against meta, and then people don't like change, and it's very weird because in particular, Planetside I think has for lack of better words, a unique player base comparatively to others.
We are a unique
Yeah.
bunch. We are a unique bunch
Yeah.
of planet men.
Yeah, take whatever implications as you want. Feel free to stuff words in my mouth. Fair enough. But it's a case of that, like, you want to make it to where you want to pick them, but, like, I know the devs also don't want to get yelled at by the community either, and I
Yeah.
completely understand that.
Because there's so few of them right now.
Yeah, and my heart goes out to every single one of you, you guys. You do God's work, okay? You're trying your best, and I understand that completely.
This game is over 10 years old and it's somehow getting updates. And
Yeah,
the fact
Yeah.
that it's still even somewhat alive and having like Reddit discourse is kind of.
I mean,
It's
the fact
just-
we're here right now.
Talking about
Yeah,
it,
Everyone
you
would
know,
break
it's
the
like,
world
oh yeah.
record for most in the
it's-
server. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah.
Yep.
For first person, yeah.
And we broke it easily.
Just so
Um,
easily. Yep.
There's a whole bunch of
So,
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think certain implants like Juggernaut needs to be reworked completely. Phylactery, I think, if with the changes that we talked about, could go revert back to its old ways because of the fact that Max isn't revivable anymore. There are other ones. Avoidance, I think, needs to be looked at because it's basically the pick for infill in particular. I know I use it all the time. One of my favorite strats is actually throwing my claymores on enemy claymores because what are they going to do? Cause me to trigger it? No.
The other thing with them is some implant that implant specifically counters basically a lot of NG's kit just by itself,
Yeah.
and I feel like you kind of have to do a bit more to counter almost an entire aspect of a class.
Yeah. There are a lot of other ones that just don't see use. What was I mean, the fact
Yeah.
of the matter is, I can't even name them because I don't know their names because I never use them.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I want to
all-
use
if
minor
anything, then
cloak. the
if
only
anything,
thing
then we
is-
shouldn't say we should add new implants. We should just
we should rework.
we should rework the current ones and really make it so it's like, ooh, this might actually be useful
Yeah.
and go up against
Like-
other
like
ones.
on a
Like
specific
Spring Step?
class with you combine a
Yeah.
few things. Spring Step I loved in concept until I got cat-like.
Yeah, it's again, it just feels. Oh,
Yeah.
let me see if I can pull up some implants here. Just for the ideas, like just because like some of them are like
The
absolutely
engineer
useless.
ones are really fun in terms of flavor. Like messing around with your shield being broken or nearby deployables.
Mhm.
Light assaults are all about messing around with fuel typically, which I've never gotten very much good mileage out of it.
Yeah, no.
Um,
Now, if it was a passive thing instead of like just, it's like the one where it's like if you kill an enemy, you're
you get fuel
you
back.
get
I
fuel
believe
back. That's
Yeah.
on concept that's nice, but in practice it's like, eh.
not normally enough to matter.
Yeah.
On drifters, it can actually make a difference.
True. I remember when the Seeker
I've
crossbow
done
came
that.
out, and that when it was
I-
broken
Oh,
at that
yeah.
point,
I
people
s-
were making AC 130 loadouts where they were up high with that.
Oh
That
no,
was actually
I know.
pretty funny.
I was the person that was doing it. I Iraxium that Seeker crossbow in a single day. I
Oh,
know.
Jesus
Horrible.
Christ.
One
No,
of the
me
other
and,
things that I like is when
yeah.
implants get new triggers added to them. Like
Mm-hmm.
Nightmare, when it's at max rank, is any kill within 5 meters. Granted, it's only a short amount of invisibility, but it's still nice that that happens.
I do see Nightmare every now and then, so it is
I
worth
use
it.
it on my light assault when I'm doing
So
shotgun.
actually, going back, on top of the triggers, this is actually one of my biggest gripes about implants. Implants should give you a visual indicator when they are being active
And when they're on cooldown.
and when they're on cooldown. And I believe this should also be the thing with any with the munitions pack where you auto load your rocket launcher. I think it should do like a little ping or a visual indicator to know that you've pocket loaded your rocket launcher.
What I could see
There have
them
been so
do
many
is like
times.
the implants on the bottom left, excuse me, on the bottom of the screen. When they're being active, it gets grayed out and it slowly starts working its way back up before you can use it again.
Or you can make them
Okay.
go
Something
all
like that.
glowy or whatever else.
So
That's
I
true.
just found, looking through, I just found one that like an example one. So battle hardened reduces camera shake and flinch from explosions and bullet impacts, right, by X%.
Yeah.
But then you have heavyweight, which is reduces screen shake caused by explosions, and you are no longer affected by knockback caused by enemies or allies.
And you can
That's
also
like-
drop to push people away, but you have to
Yeah,
take fall
it's like-
damage.
Yeah,
It's
that
weird.
doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Another one that's like really kind of funky is response jacket.
Yeah, I
Mm.
wanted that to be fun. It just
I-
most times you're gonna get hit by a brick of C4 and die before
So
it does anything.
my actual thing is, why is response jacket? It should be flipped. So response jacket is receiving a damage from a certain damage source will give you a resistance type of 50%. But shouldn't it be the other way around? The whole thing of like it should give you like a damage reduction of like a random effect or random like or something, because like usually whenever you get hit the first time, that's pretty much deciding the factor of whether you win or lose or you live or die. Again, C4 bricks in particular. Like, it maybe response jacket should trigger if something's going to insta-kill you, perhaps, or something like that. I have no idea. But, like, where it is now, it doesn't make any sense to pick it, because it's on the second hit that it actually
Fortify
procs.
is more useful than that because it
Yeah.
reduces explosive damage. You just stand still for a small time.
I would say Revenant's fine. Revenant's actually pretty funny.
Hmm.
Scavenger, I already talked about that one, where it reloads your ammo. Sense of Shield, we're not even touching that one with a 10-foot pole.
That one- yeah, let's see.
Yep.
Counter Shade was a new one they added.
Which is bugged actually for me. I can't. I unlocked
I
it, but now
literally
I
can't
can't.
equip it.
I gotta go through support and say, hey, I
Cold
got
Heart
this unlocked.
was another one.
Cold Heart actually has a use or two against Nasus Defiance fights with the prevalence of the Helios rifle. Although, ironically enough, it was actually originally, fun fact for most people that don't know, it would actually protect you from Pain Spire damage because Pain Spires gave fire effect. So, like, it was actually a anti-building implant, ironically enough.
Let's see.
Anyway.
Another one, Airdrop.
Anyway, we're getting a little
We're
carried
kinda-
away
yeah,
with
we're
implants
kinda-
and everything.
Yeah, we're going off on a tangent.
We're going on a tangent.
That happens a
And we've
lot.
been recording for a while, so we should actually start wrapping up here, which is on to the next point, which is in the dev letter. The devs said that they were looking at possibly adding non-combat roles to all the classes. What do you guys think that that means or what the devs might do with that.
I would assume it has to do something about construction.
Like
Um,
construction
That's where my mind
bases,
goes.
or like what, like player made bases, or like construction that's around dev bases that you can build.
I mean, I want to say like something related to fortification, like bunkers, but that would just go back to the construction.
Yeah.
How it's worded to me, I feel like it's adding some of the. So you know how engineer has a lot of support tools, like adding
Well-
those different variants that are related to each class.
I mean, think about the things we talked about, like
The
the
light
jump
assault
pads
jump
for
pad.
light assault. Yeah, light assault jump
Yeah.
pad, like stuff like that.
The
I could see that
diffusal
being-
of mines and stuff like that. We've kind of gone over it actually in these whole talks so far of
Passively,
like what we thought
yeah.
they.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about a lot
We've
of passive
passively
stuff
talked
that they
about
would
then.
have.
Okay.
Actually, you want to know what I do hope that they add? Remember that the Valkyrie, which could mine cordium?
The
Wasp.
The wasp.
Wasp.
Yeah.
The Wasp. You couldn't add that back. That is technically a
Non-combat.
role.
Yeah. But that's just more of a on the class of a vehicle, though.
Travis,
Yeah.
before we continue, there is something I've been wanting to touch on. I'll save it till the end, but I know we've been going for a while, but I've been waiting to like bring this up.
I mean,
Go
go
on
ahead.
about
Yeah.
it.
No. We're kind of towards the end here anyway, so we're kind of wrapping up right now. So what do you want to say?
The
What do you
thing
want to
is
say,
that this might lead into another tangent, which is why I'm like giving a heads up.
Ah, okay. So let's finish up then.
Uh,
Other non-combat roles that we could think of, or have we just,
Well,
as we
the
said,
heavy
already
was
covered up?
the heavy was like the Demeter Veil, which is damages for everyone. Medic was giving more benefits to its Medi tool. Infill, it was either keeping its intel and changing how things work, or giving it scrambling, and also its potential hacking of other deployables.
Engineer was talking about more about benefits with its repair tool.
Repair tool, or if it gets more slots to allow it to have more tools in its toolbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's be honest, they're probably not going to do touch maxes. I'm going to be honest here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Couple
so
of
we can talk
updates.
about maxes all we want, but as far as we are know,
There's nothing.
Reddit will complain all the way to high noon about it, and it probably will nothing will come about it. But I really just hope if they do change anything, they do give the rush ability back, because I do feel like it would work now.
I mean,
Anyway.
to be fair, Reddit is just full of like professional crybabies. So
Hot take
Yeah.
coming in from
mean,
Lemon.
As I like to
it's
say,
not that much of a hot take, honestly.
well, the irony is, and I'll say this, is that even though I don't agree with Reddit a lot of the time, and I don't like the way they do things, I know that at least a little bit of it comes from the fact that they want the game to do well.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you can at least say that they care about the game, even if it's maybe, in my opinion, going in the wrong direction.
They care about it in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Their own play style, as I like to call it.
Yes.
Anyway, well, I think that's a good way to end it there then. Motive, what is your little tangent that you have been waiting for?
Okay, if you've been in this outfit long enough, you've probably already heard me bring this up in the past so many times. But
Oh,
if there's
boy.
ever a podcast to bring it up, Corvus probably already knows where I'm going with this. If there's
Yep.
ever a podcast to bring this up, this is the one. For years, I have been saying it would be dope as hell if they added a spray class. What do I mean by a spray class? Think of it like this. This would require something that would require nanites to pull essentially, but it would be very an AoE thing. So TR would get flamethrowers, Vanu would get like an infinite like continuous laser beam thing, and then I haven't figured out what I'd give NC yet. Maybe I'd give NC the flamethrower and then give TR like if you play the Division 2, the Black Tusk heavies that are in the Division 2, something along those lines. I just think it'd be a very
hives?
interesting concept to
Stingers?
have it in the game, and it'd be very fun.
I think a riot control type class would be interesting. Honestly, I personally think you can roll that into the max as a sub category of it, or as a lighter variant of nanite infantry class.
You could give the Max's faction-specific weapons that do status stuff, like TR, a lot of fire or concussion, NC is over-penetration or the shield disruption, and VS is they're slow, which they have in a few things, and maybe a larger projectile size. These sort of things that play sort of into a class identity that do some form of riot control, but in a faction-specific way. if you get what I mean.
Yeah. But it's just a shot in the dark idea that I've always talked about and it'd be very fun, I think, to have in the game.
Okay.
Okay. Any closing thoughts? I guess is the next.
Yep, I think that's
topic?
basically everything with the class rework that we've talked about.
I'm
Closing
looking
thoughts?
forward to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to see what they decide
Whatever-
to do.
I'm very happy that they're addressing, or what looks like they're starting to address core issues. They should focus. I know I literally just gave a suggestion about adding something new, but they really should focus on trying to fix stuff that is currently in the game rather than trying to add new content.
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It
Especially with
needs
the current state
some
the game's in.
TLC.
It really does need
Um,
some tender loving care.
I
Absolutely.
think again, I will always say this: the devs are trying their best. Reddit,
Yeah.
please give them a little bit of slack. They really are trying their best. Okay.
Don't blame them for how things are going. They're working with few people. I imagine a very tight budget and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
They've.
We have no idea what
and,
they are going through, and it's best
and
not
again-
to add pressure to them.
And again, what we are talking here is opinions, and what we care about most is discourse, like actually talking and giving suggestions out instead of just the no, I don't think that's stupid or that's dumb.
That's
I don't want that.
stupid.
Remove
Please
it,
remove,
change
etc.,
it.
etc. These
Like
are our-
actually giving some ideas out. And again, if you guys have your own ideas, again, Travis here will probably show us and all that stuff, and we would gladly like to talk about it or see it.
And if you like some of the points you make, please discuss them.
Mhm.
It's, you never know where an idea will go.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining me today, everyone. Thanks for talking and sharing your thoughts and feelings about everything.
It was fun.
Yeah, and we'll see what the devs do in the future with the Sundry rework and the class rework coming up here. All right. Later, everyone.
See you,
Later.
Planetside.
See you.